Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between and outside of that spectrum. Welcome to this week's episode of the Ashe and Shade Committee. Hi Devin. Hi Rachel. How we doing, friends?
We're doing pretty well.
We're doing. I was really waiting for both of you to just stay muted and just kind of nod at me.
I was gonna do that.
So yeah,
Call my bluff.
As always, I'm your illustrious GM Curtis, because someone else called me illustrious, so I can use that now. But yeah, I'm joined here by my two lovely friends, and we're gonna jump right into this because we have a little bit of gaming ahead of us today. Because I finally get both of you for a full session. I'm so excited. But first, before we go anywhere, this stream and all of the Ashe and Shade Committee streams are brought to you by Sheckler Woodworking. He is our lovely woodworking sponsor. He's the guy who made all of our dice trays, with the exception of, you can actually see, let me grab it. Lovely wood and leather dice tray. You can go to his website, shecklerwoodworking.com, and take a gander. You can use the code 5% sign and chance to get 10% off your order. And we also have stickers on our website. Rachel is doing a lovely job of Vanna Whiting those. If you head over to that website, you can get any individual or all of those. One of those is clear, one of those is white, and the other two are your full color versions. They look really, really good on pretty much whatever you want to put them on. So, specifically the clear one. So, that being said, I'm pretty sure that's all the announcements, because there's really not that many on this stream. Cool. Who wants to recap?
Sure.
Devin, you're in the hot seat. You're in the recap hot seat today.
Oh boy. Well, Ding was having a lovely evening, just drinking some tea, reading a book, when this uncourteous bard dropped into his library, admittedly not of her own choice, and had some weird stuff going on. Had 5 silver threads instead of 1 that are heading to what appears not to be her body, which is not normal. So we are on a quest to find out who decided to drop a person in my house.
Okay.
And hopefully return her.
Can you give a brief introduction of who you are for folks who may have missed last week?
Absolutely. As a human, I am Devin. So a pleasure to meet you, friend of Curtis. But in game, I am Ding Tovis, the divination wizard who has sequestered himself in the astral plane for the last 40 years, and has been sort of running around there, keeping an eye on things and filling in the cracks when they appear, and also returning things to where they are supposed to come from.
Why do you make it sound like you're just trying to find the Amazon return thing and you're like, I need to, wrong address.
That is exactly what Ding does. In a nutshell, he is like, why is this here? This shouldn't be here.
Get it out.
Put that thing back. Yeah, take it back. I didn't ask for this.
Okay. Yeah, so, point of inspiration for the recap, for doing a very succinct job of summarizing that one.
I already have inspiration for Dick Wizard.
Take another.
You do, you son of a bitch.
That's what I do. I just mark down
have a spare.
Extra inspiration.
Okay.
Because, yeah, you never know when you might need it. Because it might be something where if you want to do something cool and you can burn an inspiration to kind of make that kind of thing happen. Every once in a while it comes up, and it's been a minute, so I want to try and lean back into it.
Sure.
But, yes, Thalia found herself stuck in the astral sea in a random house built on top of a dead astral leviathan, or astral dreadnought, I believe. A big, scary motherfucker that Ding just built his house on.
It keeps the other things away.
And so y'all hit the dusty space trail, literally walking out into the world, because the astral sea is more about intent and direction and emotion. This is a place where you can, if you can enforce your will on the world around you, you can make almost anything you want happen. As you were walking out, you did see the corpse of some kind of very large monster. You didn't get close enough to really take a look. Can either of you tell me what your two options were of what it might have been? Yes, Rachel.
An astral dragon or a spectral leviathan?
Excellent. So yeah, if you don't already have inspiration, have it. If you've already got one, that's not worth a second one. Not yet. We'll get there. We'll see if you. We'll get there. Yeah, you are following these 5 threads that have sort of bound a knot into a thick cord. As you are continuing to walk further away from all of the twinkling lights of civilization in the broadest sense of the word. It's civilization as in life. And you are turning your back on all these whirls and stars and colors and pinpoints of existence and facing out into the absolute darkness that exists just on the edges of it. As y'all are hiking, Ding, as you are maintaining this sort of walkway before you, can both of you roll me... Both of you roll me a D12.
Five.
3.
Okay. Cool. We'll do lower number first. Ding, as you have been walking for what feels like a good long while, you're thinking about pressing forward and kind of following this thread and using your keen divination senses to kind of follow this thread as far as you can. You spot something up ahead of you at the edge of your vision.
What do I spot?
What's your passive perception?
Passive perception is 12.
12. Okay.
And it should be noted, I think I still have ethereal sight from the third eye from last session.
Okay. Yes. So you're looking up and you're kind of keeping an eye up and looking forward to follow this thread, and you see something right near the edge of your vision, sort of where the thread past the point of view of the thread.
Okay.
But if the thread is following this, the tension on it is keeping it taut and straight. You know kind of where to look.
Okay.
And you see something moving in the distance, and it's not getting any. As you're continuing to walk forward, it's not moving any It's not getting closer, but it's not getting further away. What would you like to do?
Hey, Thalia, do you see that thing out there? And Ding's gonna kind of point to where he's, like, what he's seeing.
Do I?
When he points with your passive and kind of pointing, and he points it out to you, yes. And you see this kind of shape walking, and as you're looking, you see movement, just a little extra side to side movement as it's moving. But again, continuing to keep this distance with you. If either of you would like to roll perception checks, you may.
Sure. I'll roll an active perception on that.
Try and get a better read on it.
Not much.
I will also take investigation if you'd prefer.
Yes. Investigation makes that a 21.
15.
What? I'm really afraid of what you rolled there, Devin.
And 11.
Okay. So, looking around, Thalia, you're kind of peering forward, trying to get a good look at this. And as you're looking, you're kind of looking forward, trying to see what this is. And all of a sudden, you realize that it's two people as a taller figure turns and looks back at you, and you can't quite make out features. But Ding, you've turned around and notice behind you there's another figure, somewhat equidistant. And you can see the back is turned. You can't see it. It looks like whatever this figure is looking behind him. But you recognize the clothing. You know what your own back looks like.
Is this a thing that, like, I'm aware of can happen in the Astral Sea, or is this very new territory?
This is... Roll Arcana for me, if you want to make an Arcana check. Or so do you want to attack it from, like, the history of what you know about this place, or your understanding of the place?
Understanding.
Arcana.
My understanding of the place, yeah. Okay. 14.
14. This is a place where a whole lot of weird things can happen. This seems pretty par for the course. You've never met someone who's caught up to themselves. And you don't know what would happen if you did. Or if that's even possible.
But so far, it's staying at that same distance, correct?
Correct.
Great.
And
as long as it stays there, we're just gonna...
Yep. Yeah, and Thalia, you get to see Ding's face looking at you and peering like he can't quite grasp what is happening, what the image is behind him. And it's once you recognize that the motions are all synced up, it comes to your understanding that this is you. This is the two of you, just further ahead on this pathway.
Is it just in front of and behind us, or are there any out to the sides?
From what you can see, it is just in front of and behind. Probably 150-ish feet to the front and to the rear.
Well, that's odd, but not that odd. It's the Astral Sea. As long as we don't catch up to them, I think we're fine.
Yeah, as long as they don't like step out of the stream.
Yeah, I'd be more worried if they were doing something other than what we're doing.
Yeah. Having just went through some lessons in time manipulation, yeah, this is not. It's pretty.
So I guess we'll just keep going.
Okay. As you sort of both turn and continue walking on that pathway, Ding, it's becoming a little easier to make this pathway in a weird sense. You don't have to focus on it quite as hard, and you're noticing that in front of you, the pathway is a couple of steps more constructed as you keep walking. As if someone has recently laid this pathway before you. And after about another 5 or 10 minutes of walking, the pairs in front and behind you, these other yous, sort of step further out of sight and are gone. But the path remains steady and simpler than it was when you set out.
Interesting. I think we might be getting close to something.
Do you think those were like possibilities of our time or presence, like possibilities of ourselves, or were they like literal time, past, present? Or I'm trying to figure out what else they could be. Should just start thinking.
And Ding's gonna kind of nod his head back and forth as he thinks about it. He goes, possibilities, echoes, reflections. Honestly, it's all possible. The
Mhm.
reality is less concrete here. So it's really hard to say it without getting closer, and I don't want to get closer.
Fair.
As this path is getting easier and taking less of my attention to maintain, I'm gonna kind of look around a little more, see if there's anything else out here, any flotsam or jetsam wibbling by.
Roll me perception, please. Thalia, if you'd also like to look out for random space debris.
7.
Perception, you said?
Mhm.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Ding, you're peeking around. You're looking around for other flotsam and jetsam, but the thought of the dead astral leviathan, the thought of that dead creature behind you has you a little on edge.
Mm-hmm.
Thalia, you're a little more focused. You're a little more able to take in the sights around you. And remind me what you rolled?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Perfect. You're seeing out this far larger splotches of color and thoughts and ideas made into an object you could reach out and touch, just kind of going by. And you're realizing now as you get further out, you're seeing these are larger ideas that have not been broken up by the constant churning surf of reality. You are starting to see almost shapes within like three-dimensional shapes within these blotches of color. And you're walking through and you're seeing again more bits and pieces of Warforged, an arm or two, nothing really intact, drifting by. You see what looks like a child's doll with a little. It looks like wood, but it shines like platinum. And as it is drifting through, it finds a patch of purple that really just emanates grief and just slices clean through it, leaving this passing wake like a boat. It kind of floats on by, more jetsam, more flotsam. Nothing super tremendous out this far. This is more of the doldrums. These are eddies in time and ideas and thought where things just sit and kind of stagnate. And Thalia, with your... Oops, sorry.
No, go ahead.
As you are looking around and peeking, you hear clunk, sound of metal on wood, oddly echoic and reverberating kind of through. It sounds way too solid for anything you've experienced in this place. Just clunk.
Did you hear that?
Was it loud enough for Ding to have noticed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That I did. That was very definite. Very certain. Am I able to get a read on like which direction the thunk came from?
Thalia would. With that 19, I'll give Thalia the bearing on it. For you, Ding, you know that it didn't come from behind you. Thalia, you know that it is essentially like directly in front of you. You're not sure where up or down, but it feels like it came from before you.
Okay. It's in front of us. Metal on wood. been seeing a lot of Warforged pieces. Is that kind of a thing? Like,
Yeah, it's a thing.
can you elaborate? Is there a lot of
Keep-
Warforged?
Yeah. My house used to be a lot bigger. Now I just have piles of stupid things that keep washing up, and I can't figure out where they're supposed to go.
Have you tried thinking about where they're supposed to go? If I'm understanding this correctly, this is a place where thoughts have power. Have you tried thinking about where they're supposed to go?
I have. A few times, but it's almost like something's hiding it. Like when I think about it, when I look for it, I get a sense, but then it doesn't connect.
Okay, I might have a solution for that. Do we have a second to explore that, or do we need to keep going?
I mean,
Is it safe enough to pause here?
I would do a quick once around just to make sure there's nothing too weird. Does this seem like a safe enough spot for us to?
You're right. Roll me Arcana or Perception.
Arcana it is.
See if you're in a magically secure spot.
Yeah. That's a bit better. 18.
You could stop for this moment right now, just kind of like feeling out and trying to get a read on what's around you. You find something very solid, not too far ahead, maybe 1 or 2 minutes walk. You find a very definite object because it feels like a splinter almost when you reach out. It's like this is an irritant. There's something under my fingernails or something in my teeth. It shouldn't be there. That would be a place that you don't have to think about to maintain, which would be a nice break.
Yeah. So Ding will think about it for a minute, kind of tap his staff, and then be like, there's something a few minutes up there. That'll be easier for us to pause on.
Okay.
And I also want to make sure it's not anything we got to worry about. So
fair point.
We'll make our way.
We should probably deal with that.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll be easier for me to stop and deal with things once I have somewhere solid to stand on. So we'll keep
forward.
Keep going. Yeah.
Keep on trucking. It's immediately obvious what this thing is, as it almost appears out in front of you. You don't feel like you walked through a cloud or anything like that, but sort of a drift. Ding, to you about 10-15 yards on the right-hand side of this tether is a ship. A full 3-masted galleon. Just hanging out in the astral sea.
I mean, I've heard of ghost ships, but this is a little ridiculous. All right, let's go. Let's go check it out. No, I'll divert.
On the boat. Sure. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll be easier for us to stand there and.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. This
I
shouldn't be here. This is weird, and I would like to know who dropped a ship in the middle of the astral sea. So we'll make our way over. Is there anything like noticeable on the boat?
It looks damaged. Heavily damaged. As you start to climb aboard, there's a lot of seaware. There are still barnacles. Thalia, your eye would catch that there are still barnacles. There is still water beaded up on some of these boards, as if it's been lifted out of dry dock and just perpetually dripping down into nothingness. But it looks like there's been a fight. it looks like there has been some kind of scuffle here. One of the masts is visibly cracked, but still staying in position. But if one of you were to touch it, it swings from the base as if it has been completely snapped off. But when you let go of your hand, it just settles back in where it's supposed to be.
Well, this is different. Have I ever come across something this big dropped in the astral sea?
Yes. You've
Okay.
found big pieces here or there. This is the first time that you've really come across. There are individuals, there are groups that will use ships to cross the astral sea. This is your first time seeing a completely material ship in a place like this. But you have seen large, usually anything this big is a singular element. It is a large rock. It is a collection. It is like the Pacific garbage patch of objects just floating in the astral sea.
Yeah.
This ship looks like it came out of a fight and just took a left turn, and instead of going into harbor, ended up in the drywall.
So a little odd, to say the least, but not unheard of.
Unusual. It's not the weirdest thing, but it's definitely it's setting off a couple of discomforting alarm bells.
Yeah. Okay. And the ship is abandoned. From what we can tell, it's just the ship. There's nothing like on it.
So looking at it, yes, you are seeing. You're not hearing any signs of life. You're not seeing anything. With your current perception check, kind of looking around. If you want to take an active listen and see if there's anybody in there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do that before climbing on this thing.
Okay.
Perception, you said for that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thalia, if you'd also like to
That
roll
is
perception.
a dirty 20.
27.
Perfect. So dirty 20 and a 27. It appears abandoned. It appears that, but there are still lifeboats aboard. They have not been deployed. The damage appears to be superficial for the most part. There's no massive gaping holes blasted in this thing. You're not hearing or seeing anything on this level of the deck. Thalia with a 27. You do end up spotting the name of the ship. The Kraken Mare. And what might be a body floating off the port bow.
I will point that out.
I will look at what is being pointed out to me.
Looks
Is
like
it
a
a
body.
body?
Looks like a dead guy.
Great. Is there anything distinctive about this? Like, is it just, I don't know, standard sailor dude? Anything weird?
Dressed quite finely. Pretty nice looking duds. Floating face down in like a traditional dead man's pose. But one of his shoes is missing, and there's something weird about this. Ding, have you ever met a changeling? Or no, has Ding ever met or heard of a changeling in his studies?
Met, I don't think. Probably heard of.
Okay.
Especially with all the, like, lost knowledge that he's been immersed in out here, I feel like he would come across changelings.
So, changelings have an odd tint to their skin. It's this almost translucent, pale skin. And you can see as this thing is floating off, just outside of arm's reach on the bow. That there is, this is, you can't see the face, but it is a changeling. You see this exposed, palish pink, or this pale, translucent flesh, just kind of floating out there. But he's dressed very well. And Thalia, there is something. There's something about this that's tickling your funny bone. Can you roll history for me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. Nat 20 for a total of 31.
Gross. You and Ding are kind of standing on the bow, taking a peek at it, looking out, and the body shifts a little bit, and this coat pulls away. And on the right hip, there's a pouch. Well, it looks like it has cards in it. You recognize this particular deck of cards from the last time you were in Terraborn. There was a particular crime lord who kept a pouch identical to this on his hip. You are 100% sure that that's Ramir's deck of cards.
You seem
Can I
to
go closer?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
sure.
safe.
Yeah, I don't
I
sense
go up
anything.
to the body.
It's a little out of reach for you from where you're at. If you would like to try and do you want to try and make your own staircase?
Yes, but I'm not going to move until I see it.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna test it.
Roll me an intelligence check, please.
Oh, we're gonna use advantage on that. That's better. Intel. 13.
13. Ding, you get to you're watching as Thalia steps closer and starts to you start to watch as parts of the ship start to kind of shape around and make a little bit of a gangway. It's not the most stable thing, but considering she's been in the astral sea with you for maybe time is subjective. Could less time than you, significantly less time. The fact that she has started to kind of warp, she's wrapped her brain around the way this world works and is starting to use it to her advantage is honestly impressive. That she's taken to it.
Yeah, that would be exactly Ding's response. It's just impressive.
What? Ooh, focus.
Focus would be good. And Ding is gonna let Thalia build her walkway and just give it like a little base underneath, so in case it falters, there's something there to catch her. Just out of sight, so that she can't see it. Build that confidence.
Thalia, as you get this staircase that starts out as wood, but once the ship can't shape itself to your desires, it looks like the front steps of your house growing up.
Okay.
And you are now standing basically on the landing. There's just this body, and it's weird seeing this hand, this completely dead hand, just phasing through your stair. But to you, the stair is solid.
Okay. Completely dead.
Oh yes. Do you want to? There's been no movement. There's been nothing. What do you want to do?
I'll search the body.
Okay. Start patting him down. Start rolling over. Can I get a real quick wisdom save?
13.
13. As you start patting down, there's a split second where you freak out because the body starts moving in a way that you're not expecting. but you're able to maintain. You are very aware that he is dead, especially because as you roll the body over and you see the face of Ramir half morphed from his changeling form and half with that stupid fucking mustache that you hate. The sneer is only on the side with the mustache. The other half is showing terror. And there's a cut across the throat from a very sharp blade.
Can I put the puzzle pieces together? I know above game I can. If I can't in game, I understand.
Are you gonna try and figure out who killed him?
I cannot. I'm gonna try to figure out. Well, I will if depending on how I finish looting the body.
Okay.
Depending on what I find.
You find a bunch of gold just tucked into various pockets of this nice royal purple, this very nice cloak that he's wearing. That particular deck of cards, as you pop the seal on it and reach out, it feels like a deck of many things. But on cursory inspection, it is absolutely not. This is just a trick, a charlatan's sort of one of the many things that he wasn't entirely honest about. You want to tell what you're looking for? I want to hear you say. I want to hear you say.
I'm looking for vials.
Looking for vials of your blood.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how many you gave?
If I am correct, it's either 2 or 4. I can check.
You find all 4. All tucked away in different pockets, but wrapped more carefully than anything else on him. And you recover your 4 vials of blood.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, I tuck those away. I leave the cards.
You do see a bead of delayed fireball, like a very you would recognize this as a delayed fireball bead from the last time you were in Terraborn, and you almost blew up the entire dockside. But just one.
Okay.
On a necklace, on an empty necklace. Just the one.
Okay. I'm gonna leave the gold. I'm gonna go back.
Okay.
So is it easier to like stand next to the ship and do our creative thinking about the Warforged, or easier to like stand on the ship? Like what's easiest for you?
Probably going to be easiest to stand on the ship.
Okay.
And come up with a solution. We may try to pop my house up here real quick and see if we can't do something.
Okay.
So you had an idea, you said.
What may elude you may not elude me.
Interesting.
Two ideas. If one doesn't work out, I might try the second.
Well, sounds like we need some Warforged. Curtis, would I be able to build my house on the side of the ship so that we can get into, or maybe not even the whole house, but just the entryway and the room full of Warforged bodies?
Because you're using Magnificent Mansion, right?
Yeah, and I've got the spell slot for that.
Choose where one entrance is located. 100%. It'll take you some time to mentally unpack your house from where you've got it stored in the back of your noggin, but go 100%.
Okay. If it's doable, I may just use like the door on the ship to the captain's like cabins or whatever, and just make that my front door. and kind of build the house up into it so that we can just walk in.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Are you you walk over to the door to start the casting because it takes a minute.
Yeah.
Can I get another perception check, please?
Absolutely.
And Thalia, you are from where you are kind of standing. You also, now that Ramir is in a place now, better or worse, he's in a place.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to do while this casting happens?
I want to stand on the deck and start thinking.
Okay. Great. What's that perception?
I rolled a 10.
Perfect. Yeah. Walk up to the door, start to frame the front door of your house, but imagining this captain's door as your new front door.
Yeah.
Start building things out of this. It's nice to have an anchor like this. Thalia, what are you thinking about?
I am thinking about all like Robbie's voice and the lieutenant. Who did I talk to? The duo?
Yes.
The duo.
The second to the Primus.
Yeah. Like all of these voices that were talking about the Warforged, and there's like, where did they all go? Like there's gotta be a place, and just hearing eventually that echo of they're out there somewhere. They're out there somewhere. They had to have a place. There's a place of Warforged. Like, and just all those voices echoing and just trying to consolidate that idea that there's a place where these Warforged exist.
Okay. Roll me intelligence at advantage, please. If you have a modifier to your Arcana and want to add that, you may.
It's not gonna be great. Arcana modifier 15.
15.
Boo.
As Ding, you are parked in front of this door and starting to shape your house, sort of on top of the aft quarterdeck.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about this house, all of a sudden the space around you starts to shift as Thalia is standing at the front of the prow of the ship, thinking, and the whole ship starts to turn until it is pointed nose first into the blackness that you guys were walking towards. Slowly turning that direction.
Well, that's impressive, first of all.
Huh? Oh. Well, this is a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, that was impressive.
Did it
Well
work?
done. Did something. You pointed the whole ship to...
So is it saying that's the direction, maybe?
There's something that direction tied to whatever you were thinking about.
Just one more thing. So, well, I mean, if you're casting a spell, maybe hold on then until we find it. I got one more thing I do want to try to think about. Well, we know we're safe, if that's okay.
That's fine with me. Curtis, am I able to like pause halfway into constructing this, or am I fairly well committed to building out my house there at this point?
It'll last for 24 hours once you cast it. So you can finish the casting and it will hang out.
Cool. Then I'll just go ahead and finish the casting because I figure having a place for us to pop into and rest might not be a bad idea on this ship anyway.
Fair. Okay. With his go ahead, I'm gonna turn my attention back out, and I'm gonna draw up the image of the citadel that I saw launching into the sky. I'm gonna focus on that image and see what happens.
Okay. And you're facing out into the prow, like out into
Just
the
like what I did.
Okay.
So not necessarily into the darkness. Maybe just
the
looking
bow is now the bow is
up.
now pointing basically into
looking up.
Okay.
Is where I'm going.
Okay.
Just-
So you get a view of the fact that this is more of a sphere. This is a dome. There's this dome arching above you, and it almost curves back the way you came. Can I get a pair of perception checks from both of you at disadvantage, please? Because you are both in the middle of some mentally strenuous nonsense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perception?
Yes, please.
19.
5. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
What's that? 26.
I am not perceptive today.
I rolled an 8.
Okay.
At disadvantage, my modifier's double digits.
I believe it. I can't take
Do
you
I
away.
have? I also. Oh yeah, because I've got jack of all trades. A lot of this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my perception modifier is only 2.
Yeah.
Not much.
I got you.
all right. I have one very important question to ask.
Okay.
And I want both of you to come to a consensus. Odd or even?
Odd.
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 Excellent. So, Ding, my
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
You are continuing to shape your house,
Mhm.
building this thing out. You do not hear it. And Thalia, you don't hear it until it is too late. From behind you, Ding, you feel 6 stabbing pains into your back. 6 pokes into your back. I need to roll a whole fudge load of attacks for these.
Does this count as being hit by an attack?
I'll let you know when I roll.
Okay.
The thing is attacking you.
Okay. Because I was gonna cast shield as a reaction.
You're in the
being hit.
middle of casting a thing. It snuck up on you.
True. Okay. That's fair.
If you want to drop the mansion, I'll let you cast shield.
Okay. Yeah, and that takes 1 minute to cast, so that makes sense. I think I'm just gonna take the hit and see if I can keep the
Okay.
keep the mansion getting built.
Okay. What's your AC?
11.
Ooh, okay. Fortunately, I rolled single digits on 3 of them. I need more D8s. So you feel this sharp, piercing pain into your back as you are finishing casting this spell. You are going to take, is that a 6 or an 8? That is 10, 9, and 7 slashing damage. So you'll need 3
Okay, so
constitution.
26.
You'll need
Oh,
three
okay.
checks.
Okay. And it's Constitution, you said?
Yeah, 3 constitution saving throws. You need to beat a 10 each time because that's the best that I got for the rules on it.
Okay. Am I taking the damage regardless?
Yes.
Like it's okay, so it's 26 damage, and then
but it's
And
it's
then
3
your
separate
saving
it's 3
throws for
separate
your-
saves.
yeah. Cool. I'm just making sure. Okay, and then Constitution. First one is 12.
Perfect. Yep. 10 or higher is the number to
one-
beat.
Second one is good. And for the third one, that is also good. Cool.
So yeah. Then you feel 3 other hits. One of them you hear a different thunk of something like bone hitting wood. It slams into the deck next to you, and the other 2 punches kind of just hit off of your bag, the little pouch that you've got on you, and you don't take any damage from it.
Okay.
Can I get an initiative roll from everybody, please?
Sure.
Let me get some different music. We're in combat. Where's my combat music? Is this my combat music? That'll work. What did everybody get?
15.
15.
18.
18. Let's see how this guy does. He's got advantage. Look at that. Didn't help. Okay. What's your dex modifier, Rachel?
Great question. Dex +2
+2. Great.
or 14.
Okay. Yeah, the +2 is the. Okay. Okay. So perfect. So this guy gets to go again. But Ding, as you take these hits, sort of letting out a cry, this thing also kind of screeches out as it's coming in, and you see all these different arms coming at you from these wild and weird angles.
Interesting.
It's top of his turn. Perfect. Wow, these dice are very kind to you today. Looking back, you see this almost humanoid figure, but the torso is just a little too long. It's like a foot or two too long, and the arms are sort of interspaced like along an insect thorax. This thing ends up being about 7.5, 8 feet tall as it's kind of pulling itself up by these 6 arms. One of the claws was stuck in the ground. It kind of wrenches it free out of the wood. And it's going to attack again. So now, if you make it through this whole round, the mansion will be up, and then you can.
Okay.
Then we can do.
Okay. Cool. So I just have to finish.
Yeah. So that is a 16 and a 23.
Okay. Damage.
That is to hit. Because
yes.
I already
yes.
forgot what your number was.
11.
11. Great.
Yes. Yeah, both of those hit easily.
Okay. So you're gonna take 10 and 8 slashing.
Okay. And then I will make those 2 checks. And is it 10 again?
Yep. Yeah, because it's 10 over half the damage, rounded up, whichever's higher.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, both of those pass.
Perfect. So you continue with the house. But this thing again it takes the 2 like burlier looking arms and starts just raking these claws against you, all the while just screaming and running towards you, but its eyes aren't fixed on you. It's looking at the door.
Interesting.
Thalia, you're up.
Okay, how far into my thought journey was I for the Citadel?
You were still in the information compiling stage, pulling that image and all the seismographic data, the records, the references, pulling all of these bits and pieces together into this
I will turn to look and see what's going on.
Yeah, you see this large, abnormally limbed. It's got a weird blue tint to the skin. It almost looks like this chitinous plating along its back. And again, about 8 feet tall. The head is this long diamond shape, with these 2 small, more diamondy ears that almost look like they're panning like a radar dish.
Okay, I'm going to cast Vicious Mockery at it.
Okay.
Wisdom saving throw, please.
All right. How are you viciously mocking my beautiful blue boy?
I don't know if it can understand me yet. Like, it doesn't have to understand me, it just has to hear me. So I'm just going to... I'm gonna whistle a tritone.
Oh, no! The most hurtful thing you could do to something with large ears. What's the save DC?
Wisdom 17.
Fails.
Alright. Oh, I don't need to have my d4s out. That's a problem. Because I haven't cast this in a while. D4s.
Ding, do you want to try and figure out what this thing is while she's...
Sure.
Sure. Roll
Do I know
me
what this is?
Arcana or History, and we'll get to it on your turn.
Okay.
6 points of damage.
What kind of damage?
Psychic.
Interesting.
Nothing happens, does it?
You whistle out that tritone, and the ears kind of... When you whistle that tritone, you see the notes come out. You literally see the music notes. And you see them come together and form that just really crunchy, nasty resonance. And the 2 ears just kind of flick back, and it just catches it full in the ears. And you just watch as it kind of... And just like you watch this shiver down the plates. Did not bother it in the slightest. 0 damage from that.
Cool. Great.
Anything else you'd like to do?
I would like to inspire my buddy.
I'm so used to playing with Chris, I wanted to be like, I'd like to rage.
Surprise, you're stuck with spellcasters now.
Perfect. Finally, I can use melee troops and they don't die immediately.
Yeah. So I'm gonna inspire my good buddy, Ding. And
Good props to use it.
Yep, we both could. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I guess he didn't. What? Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
Maybe he's really
my
into some
inspiration.
contemporary composers.
That's my inspiration. Don't think about it.
Thinking is objective. All right, Ding. To figure out, yeah.
24.
24. This is one of the things from a little further out in the darkness.
Oh boy.
This is something that doesn't exist closer to reality because it is abhorrent. Because anybody with a sense of perspective and bilateral symmetry would identify this thing as incorrect. And it's hard to exist when everyone thinks that you're wrong and shouldn't be there. This is a star spawn of some kind. It does not appear to be healthy. It looks a little injured now that you're kind of taking a look at it. But it's also in your face, trying to do something with this door, trying to do something.
Noted.
You know they're not particularly smart. They're they're more animal-like than anything else.
Okay.
But they will 100% murder the fuck
noticing.
So yeah, what would you like to do?
Well, I'm looking a little rough, so we're gonna try to help myself out here, and we are going to cast Tensor's Transformation. So I don't think I need to roll anything here. Nope, it's just concentration. So I endow myself with endurance and martial prowess fueled by magic. Until the spell ends, I gain 50 temp HP, which is the main thing that's gonna help. 50 temp HP. I will have advantage on attack rolls that I make with simple and martial weapons. When I hit a target with a weapon attack, it'll take an extra 2d12 force damage. And proficiency in strength and constitution saving throws, and I can attack twice instead of once.
Excellent.
When I take the attack action.
So, what does that look like to the outside observer? What do we see when you pull out this transformation?
So it's like the astral sea kind of swirls in around me and almost becomes a little bit like a mech suit. Like it just covers him, or if you've seen Green Lantern like make a suit for himself to fight with, looks a little bit like that in the astral sea. Like I am just covered in this like hardened nothingness.
So no magical girl transformation.
No, I mean, as the astral sea is swirling in, it is a little bit sparkly, but that's it. There's no erupting of clothes, and then
I'm also not picturing like that's what he thinks it looks like, and it's like every villain's like watching just some full blown magical girls. He's like, that makes me look really buff, and all your enemies are like,
the muscles are, okay.
Yeah, and that's really it. I don't think I have anything I can do on my bonus action, so yeah, I'm probably gonna prepare a shield just in case. Like I'm going to be ready to shield myself if it attacks me again.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, okay. So and as you feel the house finish and you're like, all right, now I can devote my full attention to whatever the hell this thing is. And now it is the Beastie Boys' turn. But first,
Actually, I take that back. I don't prepare shield because I cannot cast spells while this is active. So I'm just there.
You're just like, let's go. Is there anything you want to do that you may not be able to do normally? What, like, do you want to do anything to this beastie that's up in your face?
I mean, I guess I would probably just try to like butt the staff directly into its chin to throw it off and push it back.
All right. I'll let you give it a push. Give me a strength check.
Okay. And I have proficiency on those right now.
From
Tensor. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
or is it
saving.
Is it just let me? Yeah.
I'll give you advantage on it from the.
I mean, you have inspiration too.
You do also bardic inspiration.
Yes.
You were encouraged not to think about it, and therefore.
Which is a D10.
Oh fuck, okay. That's right.
Oh. Well, we'll roll with the advantage and see if we need the inspiration.
Yeah.
That would be a 17. So yeah, 17.
Think that's good enough, or do you want to use the inspiration? This is not a leading question. This is legitimate.
We'll use the inspiration just to be sure.
Okay.
So bardic inspiration adds 2, so 19.
Yep.
Something.
Finishing the transformation, come up and just catch this thing in like right. The sternum's really long, so you can hit it. Mm-hmm. It's got a really big solar plexus, so you're just like no, and it stumbles backwards a little bit from the bizarre strength of the punch the hit you just gave it.
Mm-hmm.
And from the door behind you, you hear, gentle knocking. Now it is this boy's turn. Okay. Looking at the two of you, like looking at you now standing up in front of it with this weird maelstrom of energy around you, and looking back and looking over at Thalia over its shoulder, and it, again, you all hear a very normal kind of sound. Metal on wood. This thing is going to make a dive for the door. So it's going to rush in, and it's going to try and basically scoot past you. So Ding, if you would like to use your reaction, you can make an opportunity attack on it.
Absolutely, I will. And my weapon is quarterstaff, so I will have it. Was it advantage on that? I should really just leave this spell up on the side here.
So much useful
It
information.
is advantage on attack rolls. So. Five.
Swing with the staff, and it just very sinuously just scuttles out of the way a little bit. Gets to the door, and you watch it just take those claws and just start raking into the door frame.
Okay.
Good. 3 quick, just hinge. Those 3 claws just bite in and just pulls the door free. The physical door.
Okay.
Not your portal.
Okay.
The frame is still there. On the other side is what looks like a very damaged Warforged. That is like knocking, and it looks to have some kind of sailor's regalia on. It's like a cabin boy. And you watch as this thing looks down at this cobbled together looking automaton and is 3 arms reach out and grab this thing. And it turns and starts to run towards the edge of the deck. It gets about 10 feet away from the edge of the deck. And Thalia, it looks like, having spent some time on ships, he's about to dive off with this Warforged. It is your turn.
I'm going to... I don't think there's a way for me to stop this thing from diving, so I'm going to just run up to the banister and try to catch direction.
Where it's going? Okay.
Yeah.
Ding, is there anything you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna chase after it.
Spell.
No, yeah, I'm gonna chase after it and basically try to just take this thing out at the knees with my staff.
Okay.
Which is okay. That's important. And if I have proficiency with the weapon, I add my proficiency bonus to it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Cool.
So it's your
So at advantage.
It'd be strength plus proficiency.
Okay, cool. So we will take a swipe at this. And that will be a 14.
14. That will hit.
Cool. Then it'll take... let's see, quarterstaff is... probably have this one-handed right now, so it'll be a d6 minus 1, so that's 4, and then 2d12 of force damage. So that's 4, and then 9, and 6, so 19 damage.
Okay.
4 of it bludgeoning, the other 15 is just straight force. And with Tensor Transformation, I also get an extra attack.
Okay.
So
you're trying to knock this thing down to the ground, right?
kind of, I'm aiming to just bludgeon the thing, but I was swinging for the knees just to see if I could.
To get it to stumble. Okay.
Yeah,
To get it to stumble. Let me roll a quick dex save.
It rolls a 1, Curtis. Because I have divination.
Portent is good.
I have portent, and one of the things I rolled was a 1.
Oh god, that. Oh, that really tickled me. Sure. Immediate, just you. So, what does your portent look like when it kicks in? Because this is the first time we've had a divination wizard on the show. What does it look like for him when he's just like imposing your will upon the world?
Yeah. So Ding is gonna run up and, like I said, just sweep this staff right into its leg. And as it kicks through and he can see it trying to gather itself, he's gonna look at it and just go, "Oh, I wouldn't do that." And you see whatever it was doing, it like its legs just immediately flip.
Just it bends upward in this weird sinuous way, so the feet are just kicking up in the air. All the other limbs are still wrapped around this warforged that is still knocking, like it's requesting entry somewhere. Just and it's starting to it's like snarl and twist itself around to try and get its feet, but its feet remain just stuck in the air. Anything else you want to do?
I'll follow it up with that extra attack.
Okay, come and get him. Actually, hold on. Let me roll averages.
Yes.
How do you want to do this?
Yes.
He's prone. It's gonna crit. How do you want to do this?
So it's prone in front of me, and I've just swung the staff through its legs. I'm just gonna bring it up and straight down on the thing's head, like a two-handed, just thwap.
There's no ichor that comes out of this thing. It is just the head, the skull cracks open like an egg, and there's just this weird bluish mist that just kind of pulls away and out of the body, and all the coloration fades with it, and you are just left with this graying husk wrapped around this warforged that is just... You are out of combat.
Excellent. Ding's gonna let go of that transformation, I guess.
Okay.
Oh, and actually that results in a thing too.
DC Con 15 save,
Yup.
my guy.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Sir?
So, yeah.
Sir?
Yeah, so last stipulation on transformation. Immediately after the spell ends, you must succeed on a DC 15 con save or suffer 1 level of exhaustion. Con is just 1. And I'm going to burn 1 of my inspirations on that.
Sounds like a perfect opportunity to do so.
And that is much better. That is a 15 on the nose.
Meets it, beats it. We'll take it.
Great. So, yeah.
That essence of the astral sea around you dissipates back out and exits you in a different shape and a different layout than it was before. There's a weird ding-shaped imprint in the cosmos now, where you burned a little bit of that extra energy, making it yours, and shaping the world around you. But yeah, you are now left standing on the deck of this ship with a warforged that is still wrapped in this thing's death grip, just knocking.
Can I walk over to the Warforged?
Yeah. You can absolutely walk over to the two of them.
Does it look like anything familiar to me? Like, do I see designation? Do I have I seen this?
This looks... It does not look super familiar.
Okay.
This one appears smaller. It does not have legs, you realize. It has a single large wheel, sort of between, like resting in the center as it's balancing on like a gyroscope. Again, decked out in what looks like more common sailor attire.
Okay.
It doesn't look. Something about it looks kind of odd. If you want to make an investigation check.
Yes,
For me.
please.
Should I also make one or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd like to. Oh,
Okay,
well, I will take group checks.
Cool.
22.
Dirty 20.
Okay. Perfect. Lovely stuff. So the two of you looking at this, Thalia, your frame of reference being Robbie, being any of the Warforged you
Robbie,
met.
the smaller one would probably be more towards like a Harvey almost.
This is smaller than a Harvey.
Okay.
Harveys are still about 5 feet or so, like 5'6". This one maybe caps out at about 3'8". This is
okay.
a much smaller, much nimbler form, but it's got like a rough balance. Like it looks sturdy, but it doesn't quite have the same level of polish that a lot of the other ones would have. And Ding, as you're looking at it, this doesn't look like a Warforged you've come across.
Okay.
But you're recognizing bits and pieces of the components, and Thalia looking at it with a 22. This has been cobbled together from various bits and pieces of other Warforged. The plating doesn't quite line up. There are spaces where designation would have been, but it looks like it's been either filed away or removed somehow. There's no real identifiers on this thing, and it is just still knocking gently.
Does this, because I know most of the Warforged I run into are like in power saver mode essentially. Does this one seem like it's a little more aware, coherent, active? Or does it also seem like it's maybe running on a very base level?
It looks like it, with a 20, it looks like it previously was active.
Okay.
Sort of reaching around, feeling the bearings and the gears, like down by the wheel. There's heat by the wheel bearings. This thing was moving recently.
Okay.
And also, you still have your ethereal sight. This does not have a tether.
Interesting. Do the other Warforged that I found out here, have any of them had tethers?
No.
Okay, so that's pretty standard.
However this thing got here, it is not dreaming. Looking at it, it looks like it's alive is a strong term for it. It is reacting or following out its previous piece of programming.
Gotcha.
As it continues to knock.
All right, buddy, let's see if we can get you out of there, and I'm gonna try to pry the thing's arms open to get this Warforged out.
Sure. You two, given a little bit of time, are able to leaving. You see the puncture marks through the armor, through the metal plating on this thing as you sort of peel this thing out. And Thalia, as you pull the center two arms away, you hear the sound of glass sort of tinkling inside the squat casing of the body.
Powerful?
Do you want the latch is unlocked if you want to.
I would like to look.
Yep, and sure enough, your hunch was correct. The crystal, the energy crystal that's in there, is smaller than what you'd seen in a Harvey or Robbie or any of the other Warforged. This was a simpler automaton, but the core is cracked, and so it is just basically every few seconds, right before it knocks, there's a just like, pff, and then pff, as it's stuck in this kind of loop.
Okay. Can I time it so just about when it's supposed to spark, when I know it's gonna start the loop again? Can I ask it? Battalion Commander Ashe and Shade, report.
it's still sending that spark. It's trying. The closest analogy would be a heartbeat in a dying animal. It is.
Yeah.
It is not doing. If you could give it if you could burn some energy, put some more juice into it, you might be able to get a couple of minutes out of it. But the core itself, the energy vessel, is cracked, and you are pouring water into a broken pot.
Okay.
Amongst all the Warforged parts that are in my house, would I have a power core similarly sized, something that could be swapped out?
Yours would all be bigger than that.
Okay.
But it would work. It would take some
Jerry rigging.
Some real artificing to try and make it work. If you want a permanent solution.
Yeah.
You might be able to actually make a medicine check for me.
Medicine check. Ooh, I'm actually okay at those.
Is the anywhere around the faceplate loose? Because like I know where the SD card slot is.
Yes, you do. There are a couple of the plates that have been like pried loose or cracked open. You'd be able to get in there, if you felt like it.
Okay. Just I'll
15.
15.
Yeah.
You're not enough of an expert to permanently fix this problem.
Okay.
But conceptually, you could give it something. You could put a core in there or hook something up to give it, again, a little more life.
Gotcha.
But you'd have to move quickly.
Okay. I can probably jerry rig something. I've got some extra power cores, unless you have a better idea.
I mean, either that or I can take the mechanical component that should house its memory consciousness. I can access that, and we could try to put that into a more functioning. We could try that instead. I'm not sure. Never tried it before. Or we could put a pin in this, don't think about it, and keep going. I don't know what kind of timetable you're on, and you're kind of doing me a favor, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think I feel a few ribs where they're not supposed to be, so I'd like to take a quick pause.
Okay.
I pop a cure
So
wounds
why
on
don't
him.
we? Appreciate it.
Oh, rip. 6 points healing.
That's something.
Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to cast it second level. Give you the extra d8. So 6. Ooh, there's another 8. So 16.
6 and 8. Cool.
Or wait, no. Yes. No, 14. Excuse me, 14.
14. Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
14.
All
I was
good.
like, my
I
math's
added a 6
wrong.
and 8,
So much
so
easier.
that's better, but still things
You
I'm
say
kind
you
of
have
stopping.
other.
Hmm?
I mean, we could try out removing the in your mansion,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, let's do that. And I'm gonna go. I'm assuming that the door into the mansion is still just attached to the door wherever it ended up.
As you
Is this
walk,
correct?
You that depends. Did you anchor it to the door or to the door frame?
Oh, I anchored it. Anchored it to the door. So
Great.
wherever the door got tossed to is now my front door. So I'm gonna go find that.
It got chucked to the side. It's like resting kind of precariously up against the edge of the deck or against one of the
Right.
gunwale, the railing. And you can see like it's just kind of hanging out there. As you go over to it and grab where the handle used to be, you know that you could open it and you'll like slip in. It'll do weird things to your sense of gravity, but that's okay.
And that's exactly what Thing's gonna do, is just walk over and pull this thing open and kind of tip himself into his house.
Yeah,
Okay.
just like walking in a normal level door because you've done this before. You're like, nah.
Yep. And I'm gonna walk into the house thinking about needing something to drag the Warforged in here with. and to just see what the house provides in my foyer, essentially.
God, I need something to move this. You swing it open, and there's a very large rug with this flowing, lovely pattern to it. It's not what you wanted to see, but it's what the house... You're pretty sure this rug is bribing the house to get you out more often. This is your sentient magic carpet that is just laying on the rug, and you come in, you see the corner tassels just kind of perk up, almost like ears. Just kind of like the two back tassels kind of stand up and start kind of wagging back and forth.
Diggs is just gonna stand there with his staff for a minute, and then look up just vaguely at the roof and be like, you could have just given me a nice rug normally. And then he's gonna point at the thing and be like, go get that.
You watch as the rug kind of bunches up like a dog, like gathering itself to leap. And with this rush of air, it just whizzes past you, almost knocking you over. And it's excited to go out. It's excited to play. Thalia, you're laying next to this literally dying Warforged and a probably 4x8 magic carpet, like a terrifying carpet runners busts through this doorway and starts circling the ship, circling around one of the masts.
Ding's gonna lean out and just yell, "Get the Warforged, please!" Start stumping over to the door at the back end, opposite the entryway.
It kind of like drapes itself over one of the mast arms and is like hanging and like kind of flailing, and then it rolls over. And this carpet doesn't have a face, but like it kind of shapes itself and like crosses its hand, crosses the little tassels, and then just kind of floats down and scoots itself underneath the Warforged, picks it up, and kind of shuffles its way off inside very, very stably. Thalia, would you like to ride the carpet? It's not going to fly out. It's going to get under this thing and then wait for you if you want to hop on.
Oh, sure, if it waits.
Yep. As you come to it, it lowers a little bit so you can get comfortable, and then just scoots off back into the mansion. Ding, before we go to break, what are you looking for? Or you're in the house?
Yes.
Okay.
I am going to go across from the entryway, in the middle of I imagine it's two staircases on either side, and in the middle, there is the Warforged that we saw on the way out of the house last time, still headless, still wearing a poncho with a guitar in like a captain's pose, and the door next to it is where Ding's gonna head to try to find a functional head to transplant this brain into.
Okay. As you're moving, the rug with Thalia and this new Warforged intact kind of scoots its way in after you. Quick question before we pause and take a break. Thalia, are you going to shut the door behind you? Or actually, hold on. Before I ask a stupid question.
It's hard because I'm on the carpet. Does the carpet close the door? Would it slow down to give me a chance, or would it just be like, I have a task?
Actually, Ding, if you want to shut the door, close the door behind you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Once everybody's in, I'm going to let the house know that I would like the door closed.
Thank you. And the door, and as you go through this other doorway next to the poncho-wearing headless Warforged, into this other room, that door also closes behind you. And that's where we'll take a break. Because I need to refill my iced tea. And we'll be back 10 minutes? Want to take a quick 10
Sure.
bath break? Cool. So yeah, don't go too far away, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back in about 10 minutes to continue this little adventure we're on. Don't go too far away. Bye-bye. Hello and good evening, and we're back. Hello, welcome back. Hello, welcome back. I'm just gonna keep saying that until I find a different help.
Greetings and salutations.
Ding!
Ding! Okay. So, when last we left our intrepid heroes, you were walking into Ding's storage space. Ding, what does this particular room look like in this configuration?
So you've seen DuckTales, yeah? And Scrooge's like vault of money that he dives into. So basically, the door opens, and around like on level with the door up to the ceiling are very like nicely paneled walls. You know, it looks kind of like the rest of the house, like it was intentional. But where there should be floor, there's just, from what Thalia, from what you can see where you're at, is the top of what appears to be a bunch of Warforged parts, with a staircase spiraling around this pit down to the bottom.
Not far out from Robbie's. Got it. Okay.
It is just this giant pit filled with Warforged parts, and it's like at the top, like I said, it's very nice, and you can see the walls as it goes down. If you've seen Full Metal Alchemist, like the stretch marks of things being reformed.
Okay.
As the walls go down, there's those markings of like, it was obvious that the top was intentional, and then it was like, I need more space, and just shove the floor down.
Okay. Got it.
And remind me again what y'all are hunting for.
We are hunting for enough, both a place where, basically a head with an intact power crystal source. So something that can plug and play.
I need investigation checks from the pair of you.
Can do.
Or,
Sir.
or before you guys say numbers, if one of you would like to lead the investigation and the other would like to assist.
I will assist.
I was gonna say, I feel like Ding is on a mission here.
Yeah.
Because Ding has a rough idea of what's in that room.
And I happen to know a little bit more detailed since I know a Warforged to be like, close.
Okay.
So is that roll with advantage?
Yes.
Or... Okay, cool. First roll is better. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. So you start digging, metaphorically, through the house and bits and pieces of this. A lot of the flotsam and jetsam you're seeing are arms, pieces of armor. Thalia, this is a little more on your wavelength. This is a little more on your speed. These are all combat style units. You are recognizing some of the plate work as things that you have seen in your time working with Robbie, in your time aboard the Catal. You do see an entire like a Devastator model arm just like hanging out in one of these piles. And a couple of the bigger, beefier ones. With a dirty 20, you're having a hard time finding an intact head and a power core. And the whole time, your buddy on the cart keeps knocking.
Ding's gonna think about it for a minute, and the headless Warforged up above is headless for a reason, because Ding used that Warforge as sort of a rubber duck. It was something he would talk to figure things out. Like he would talk it out loud, that way he could hear what was happening, and it would help him, work through his process and his research. The only problem was that the head kept trying to respond, but it's not fully functional. It's like if you've ever called a phone tree, it just has options, and it kept trying to fit whatever was being said to the options. So he got annoyed and just removed the head and stuck it in the bottom of the pile. So with that in mind, Ding's gonna go, wait, and go try to find that head because he could just put it back on the body.
Yeah. With that specific target and shaping the manor around you, you don't have to sift through infinite possibilities of all these Warforged bits. You go, that motherfucker. And the house is just like, Thalia, you watch as he's like, hold on, I have something. And he starts walking down the stairs, and the whole pit just kind of peels open in this the donut version of Noah splitting the Red Sea. And at the very bottom of this pit, there is just a Warforged head sitting on the ground, looking upwards. And the lights look like they're in a standby mode, down here. Just the eye lights are kind of gently pulsing.
So, make my way down and grab this head. Start making my way back up. Does the head have enough power that it would respond to being picked up?
When you pick it up, the eyes open and go, "Good morning."
Yeah. Hi, Bob. Please shut up now. I'm gonna make my way back
But
up.
of course,
with it.
sir. Come back up to the top of things, and you have this beat up, like very dingy looking skull that's got all kinds of dents on it from being buried underneath this pile of Warforged, and it is only looking at Ding. Good morning, Master Ding. Good morning.
Yeah, hi. Oh, God. This is why I hate you, Bob.
Of course, sir.
So I'm gonna head back out to where the body was and wave.
Body's like the rug came
Right
with
outside
you.
the door.
Like it's like right on the landing with you.
Okay. So I'm gonna head back up and be like, this should work. I don't. You seem to have a plan for it, but I got you a working head.
Good morning. You're muted.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm alright. How are you?
How are you today?
Do you have a designation?
Designation. Bob.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
Master Ding calls me Bob.
It's a lovely name.
Bob. Lovely name. Bob. Yes. Ding, this is kind of weird. Because you recognize the snippets of like the different parts of the command, like the command tree that he's pulling from, and he's grabbing pieces of them and making a sentence. And the inflection is still the same. He is just grabbing. It's what happens when you have like a voice to text, but it doesn't have the cadence or the vocal smoothing. It's just pulling the pieces together to make a sentence. Bob has never done this for you.
You're being talkative today, Bob, in a functional sort of manner. Almost. Looking at I'm going to spin the head to look at me real quick. Does it seem more aware than normal?
When it looks back to you, the eyes kind of go a little more neutral. He goes, "Good morning. Would you like a lemonade?"
Bob, you don't even have lemons. I'm going to set the head down on the rug and be like, I don't know what's up with him. I guess, I mean, we need the head to figure out what's going on with our knocking buddy here, but, I don't know. Can we save Bob's brain?
Theoretically, yes. I've never actually, like, I'm working on theories.
I mean,
Not necessarily experience. But an adjunct to experience, really.
we're in the astral sea. Theoretical is the same as real. It's
Good point.
fine. It'll work.
Hey, Bob.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like some lemonade?
Yes.
One moment, I will get you some lemonade. And the head kind of turns, but doesn't go anywhere. Almost like it's expecting to move off somewhere, and it just is facing off towards the kitchen area. Ding, where you know the kitchen is. Every time you move it, the stupid head knows where it is.
I don't know how he does that. Just to see what happens, I'm gonna switch the kitchen to the other side.
Bob, go. Apologies, and like hop like and turn towards the kitchen. And about a minute later, he turns back and goes, "Here is your lemonade. Enjoy."
Thank you. You can enter your sleep mode.
Ding. Permission to rest.
Permission granted, Bob.
Good night. And the eye is kind of... And again, that gentle kind of pulsing. The knocking from your injured Warforged is getting fainter. You do not have a lot of time to do whatever it is you're going to do. So what would you like to do? What theory are we putting into practice?
Like to grab the SD card out from the knocking one. Very carefully find the place to swap the cards. So I'm not gonna put Bob's into the other one, but I'm gonna hold on to Bob's, keep it safe.
Keep Bob separate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna insert the knocking one.
Okay. As you take one of the face plates and peel it up, it's immediately clear. And you said you were starting with Bob's, right? Pulling Bob's out first?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull the damaged one first.
Okay. Peel this forehead plate back, and you immediately, your heart sinks a little bit. This is not the clean, well put together machine that you thought it was. And inside that faceplate, almost like a brand, property of Ramir. And there is what looks like a small, janky crystal that doesn't fit quite right. It rattles around a little bit. Just this small, like sky blue crystal that you're fairly certain it's in more or less the correct spot. But as you're like poking around and kind of getting the feel for it, this Warforged was cobbled together out of other Warforged pieces and was put together as this sort of manservant.
Okay. Gonna look to Ding. I don't know how much information this one can actually give. Now I take another look. It's pretty cobbled together. I mean, at best, its most recent memory would be of what was happening on the material plane, but I don't know if we can kind of get a feel. I mean, attacked boat, dead assuming captain. I guess this was just a creation to serve. I don't think it's worth risking Bob for that.
Thing's gonna look at Bob and be like, "Thank you for the stare."
Bob's asleep. I'm sorry, I forgot. Even in his sleep, Bob is paying attention to everything you're doing. Bob is part of the house now.
Thing's gonna think about it, and I don't know much about Warforged, and I see your point about it being cobbled together, but if it's cobbled together, is there a way we could like bridge it with Bob, connect it to Bob in a way, just give Bob access to maybe the last memory or so, just to see if there is anything there? It might have some insight as to how it ended up in the astral sea, which I would love to know.
both of you roll an intelligence check for me.
Street intelligence.
20 for street intelligence. 21.
21.
Net 20. 21 twins.
21 twins. So at this, you're both looking down, still sitting on this rug, and the knocking kind of tink, tink, and you both kind of stop and look as both of you kind of are looking down, and you both look up at each other, and you both kind of pan your heads in the same direction to the poncho-wearing, guitar-holding one without a head. And the thought hits both of you. You don't have to necessarily bridge the brains, but there's power there. You may not be able to necessarily control it the way you want to, but you can get something if you put this Warforged head on Bob's body.
Let's give it a shot.
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm gonna need 3 intelligence checks. Arcana, if you would like. Or actually, 3 checks.
Okay.
Whoever wants to take point on this gets first and last. You cannot use the same skill twice to put this thing together. So, like, you can use intelligence skill, but it would be, if one of you uses Arcana, you can use history, but you can't use Arcana again.
Okay.
Okay.
Who wants to take point?
3.
I mean, it seems like you have
Yeah.
a lot of bonuses. Yeah.
Yes. My Arcana and my history are very healthy.
Okay. So you're rolling Arcana and history. What's Ding want to roll?
Would investigation be usable? As far as like piecing together how these pieces fit. If not, I'll go medicine.
I could see medicine working a little better. I could see medicine over that. So yeah.
Cool.
Let's do that.
Okay. Arcana 26.
Beautiful. Roll me medicine there, Ding.
Let's see here. Actually, you know what? We are gonna portent again and use one of the 12s I've been saving. So that is a 19.
Beautiful. Easiest roll of the game. Lies. You still had to add modifiers. It wasn't a natural one. And then your history, Thalia?
26.
Beautiful. So yeah, Thalia, your wherewithal to put this thing together and working with enough of these components and remembering the Catal and watching Firo kind of tinkering a little bit, you're able to start the process, and Ding, the entire time you're able to kind of feed in little bursts of magic and keep him stable. And after a little bit, this mangled looking, the forehead flap is still kind of open, and property of Ramir is still kind of flapping in the metaphorical breeze. And it settles on in, and for the first time on Bob's body, there's from the chest, and some of the neck plates kind of open up and settle, accepting the new head. The next thing you hear is hrum hrum, hrum hrum, hrum hrum, as it's strumming the guitar that it's holding. And then it goes, Master Ramir, it appears we're under attack. Master Ramir, it appears we're under attack. It's the committee, sir. One of the committee is after us. Hrum hrum. Hrum hrum. And that message begins to repeat.
What is the committee? Can't say I've ever heard that before out here. Ding's gonna kind of look to Thalia because she seems to know more about This
The
Ramirez
general
person.
world.
The general world, yes. You ever heard of the committee?
Yeah. Yep. I know them.
I mean, I don't know if being attacked by them is a
I'm
good
on
thing
it.
or. Oh. Is this like a big committee? Small committee?
It depends on what we define as current membership. Like active members versus like honorary members. Like my boss has looked in on the communications, but I don't think he's necessarily. I don't know if he's a full-fledged committee member. It was our adventuring group, but one of them became king, so now it got political, in a sense. On one hand, and then other people are getting. We're a bit scattered right now, which is why
Well-
one of them might be attacking this vessel.
Well,
Would I know who with this information?
Roll history for me.
23.
It seems like it's like running through your list of people that you've interacted with. This could be Ronan. The fact that the dock and everything is smashed, sure, but the fact that Ramir had all his trophies kind of eliminates that option for you.
Also, I've been with Ronan.
With Ronan,
like-
he hasn't snuck off in this weird temporal timescape. You're not sure exactly when you are, but this doesn't quite have all Ronan's trademarks on it. Thinking about Ramir, thinking about his belongings, and thinking about the cut across his throat. There's a split second of understanding. There was a very dark edge to that cut. Somehow, Thrall and the Obsidian Dancer put an entire three-masted sailing ship outside of reality to hide the body. You're not quite sure why or how, but that looks like Thrall's handiwork to you.
Wondered what he'd been doing this time. It's been a few months since we last saw them.
so not an active member.
I mean, clearly they're active.
Well, I guess that's
Member? They haven't been traveling with us lately.
got. I mean,
But we kind of have beef with them, with the dead one.
well, you seem all right, so he probably had it coming.
Probably. I mean, it kind of was inevitable. He was a black market magnate. Turnover in that position is just dreadful, really.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. More of them end up here than you would think.
So, that enough information for you? Disconnect?
Oh God, yes,
Unless
please.
you want the guitar going.
God, no, he's worse than Bob.
Hrum. Just continue.
Sleep.
Thank you. And the head just like detaches and falls with a thud to the ground. And the faceplate that says property of Ramir detaches from the head and spins off into the corner.
Ding's gonna grab the head and chuck it into the pile.
The door just swings open as the head rolls in.
Yep. Well,
Have you seen that thing that attacked us before, though? Or, well, attacked that before?
I mean, I know what they were, but I haven't probably interacted with them too frequently, right?
No, you tend to, it's one of those, it's a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine I go out into the deep, deep astral sea very often. I haven't seen one before, but I know what they are. They're called star spawn. They live deep in the astral sea.
Where we're going?
It's the direction we're headed.
Isn't that like next door to where you said we're going?
It's the same direction, yeah. I'm really hoping that we're not going that deep, but
It's after the Warforged.
yeah.
I have a hunch where this is leading. Well, not this.
Can I see? Actually, by the way, I never did clarify. Can I see my tethers?
You can. You can see about where like they pull together and conjoin into that one thick thread, and then about 6 inches of like combined thick thread later, it fades out from your field of view.
I mean, obviously, I don't know where this is leading, but the other thing at hand. I'm curious. I never did get to finish my second thought. Curious to see if that would clarify.
Give it a try. Let's go see what happens.
All right. I step off the cart, give it a little bow. Thank you.
Kind of curls up and then settles. It goes over into the main foyer and settles out into the living room, like, as if it's a normal entryway rug.
Okay.
But as you go to leave, it does kind of wave one of its corner tassels at you.
Leave back. Okay. I will.
If you want to rest out here for a little bit longer, I'll stick close, and if there's an emergency, I'll run back in and close the door. If there's something cool, I'll let you know.
Ding's gonna think on it for a minute, look at the carpet and be like, go keep an eye on her. And then he's probably gonna head to the library to try to rest for a bit and
are you gonna try and rest off that level of exhaustion? Because that's a full 8.
I did not get an exhaustion.
Oh yeah, that's right, you didn't. So yeah, if you
I am just very sore.
Okay, yeah, if you want to take a short rest, and we can run that real quick. For like the first time in like a year, I'm using short rest rules.
Yeah.
Thalia, on your way up to the bridge, or as you exit the doorway with the rug behind you, you realize that the ship has been moving, and you see, as you sort of step out, your tether swings hard towards the bow of the ship. It doesn't pull you, but you notice all the threads kind of swinging off to your right side, pulling towards the bow of the ship.
Which is the direction we're heading?
Correct. You are going bow first, nose first into the dark. In this half-destroyed sailing ship.
Okay. I'm gonna stand just like 5 feet away from the entryway.
Mm-hmm.
And regroup my thoughts again, trying to think, recapture that image of the Citadel as it was rising out of the ground, looking at plans and the schematics and like all the details I know about the Citadel, and trying to see what that creates in the astral, what occurs of this thought.
Roll me an intelligence. We'll do a save for this one.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna use Bardic Inspiration on myself. It's a D10. Okay. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Excellent. A lot of good rolls for you guys tonight.
Most
I've had
things
some
just get
very bad
modifiers.
I've had some very bad rolls
Also the
tonight.
modifiers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but you didn't have a player go, that's a natural 1. Incorrect. Bad things happen.
At advantage, I did get a 1.
That's true. But that's why we have advantage. That's why you're good at these things. Sitting there thinking, processing, trying to wrap your brain around the entirety of this, the Citadel, and what it kind of conjures forth. Is there anything specific you're looking for? Or are you just trying to pull all the filing information together?
I guess, yeah. I kind of picture it as like she's pulling all the filing together and then just like reaching up because she knows it's like from the memory of Ergen, like looking up, everything she knows is up. So she's just going to reach up and open her eyes and see what's. So it's more compiling everything. But again, that idea of up is just there a lot. And where is it? Where is it?
You reaching up, holding out your hand, thinking about everything you've seen, thinking of the memory that Ergen had of the launch of everything. Ergen's thought of this is how we get them out. Holding up to this thought, reaching up, all of a sudden there's a weight in your hand. A cold, heavy piece of something. And as you pull it down, it is a compass, but not of any material you've ever seen. It is a smooth purple metal with these odd, intricate whorls, almost like a fingerprint, but it is not carved out of the metal, is not upraised, it is just part of the material. And holding it kind of in both hands like this, the needle is just spinning aimlessly.
Gonna look up and just at the expanse of the astral sea. Head inside, go find Ding.
Okay. Ding, where does she find you? You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, someone else does it.
In the library. Sorry, I was looking up short rest rules to make sure I did this correctly. He's going to be in the library, sunk down in that chair again, probably lightly reading a book and sipping on something warm. Actually, you know what? Bob kept talking about it, so he decided to conjure up some lemonade. So he is sipping some lemonade.
Where did you put Bob's head back in the pit, or is Bob's head out with you?
I decided Bob could use some air, so Bob's head is it is in another slightly smaller armchair that popped up across.
Still dozing.
Yes. With his own little glass of lemonade. Small glass. Let's bring that. Take short rest. Great.
While you're finishing your short rest, Thalia will probably identify that. Virtual cast identify on that compass.
It appears to be again, it's a weird piece of magic you've never seen on it before. The closest thing you can get to it is it's written in a language that it's kind of a weird mix of Elven and Dwarven, but the syllables aren't quite right. The best way you can describe it is the way home, is the feeling you get for it. With identify,
Also, I have a helm of comprehend languages.
Oh yeah, you do.
Or
how-
eyeglass, technically.
your
but-
your spectacle of that. So when you drop the spectacle down, it takes a second and kind of like zooms in and out, and it goes, language identified. Language. It's kind of bouncing against it, and then you basically have to back out and go, no, don't self-identify. Find the Elvish, find the Dwarvish, piece this thing together. And the closest thing you can come up with a name for it is the path home. Let me make sure I tell you what it does. Just tell me the spell. I know how it works. I learn its properties and how to use them. It will require.
Yeah.
It does
Sorry.
require attunement.
Okay.
But if you take it out and think of home, or think of a location that you are familiar with, you may not have had to have been there, but you know what you're looking for, this will guide you there. It will give you the most direct route, like a compass points north.
Yeah.
But it will take you to a location.
Okay.
And actually, you have high passive perception. You recognize some of the language from some of the particular drow that you ran into in the one cave in Terraborn. You recognize a little bit of the drow language.
Mixed in among.
It is the
Other-
language is drow. You just had
Okay.
to step out to like the root language to step into it because the glasses couldn't translate it for you.
Okay. All right. If Ding asks what this is, I will tell him everything. But if he's not, I'm going to let him just keep reading in silence because I recognize that is a need.
Yes. Introvert spots introvert and goes, I got you.
Would I notice Thalia come in? Because that will be what determines if he asks.
You'll notice. You may notice her coming in. You'll definitely notice her casting Identify, because that is
Okay.
You'll notice the casting, especially if she's doing the ritual version.
Yeah. Then at that point, I will perk up and wander over and be like, "So, what'd you find?"
Okay, so I thought of my other possible location for the Warforged.
Okay.
And the Astral Sea gave me this compass, which all the writing is in the Drow language. So this may be a key to finding that lost flying city from the material plane.
Interesting. Hey, Curtis. Would Ding know who / what the Drow are?
He would.
Because I am outside of that plane.
He would, in fact. So, yeah,
Awesome.
Drow, you're like, oh yeah, those are like, they're the dark elves, they live underground. You remember them being talked of poorly. You were not around for the war.
Okay. Huh. Drow, huh? Haven't heard that in a while. Didn't hear many good things about them, but I also didn't hear many good things about me. So,
You ever hear about a war?
nope. And that is all you get. He's just gonna stare at you.
Insight check.
Sure, Devin, do you want to contest?
Nope.
21.
Finally, PvP that isn't violence. Yeah. What is she? You chose to fail. So, Ding, what does she read off of you?
Nope. That is what you just like.
Okay.
Nope. That is all there was to it.
I had
no
to
idea.
check. I
Yeah.
had to check.
Yeah, he has absolutely no idea what you're talking
I
about.
appreciate
Doesn't
the
ring any bells and
clarity
doesn't
there.
know why that would be
I had to check.
anything super important. I mean, he, like, sure, wars happen. Well, I assume. I've heard of wars.
There's a lot of them.
Yes.
What's the most recent war you remember?
That's a great question. What is the most recent war I would remember?
Remembered or visited?
Ooh. We'll go with visited.
Okay.
Because I'm going to try to think of what the most recent war was within the timeline, not necessarily what I would remember from before I left.
Hold, please. That's John, that's Lalo, that's Tannel. There was, in fact, a civil war that broke out with the assassination of Emperor Sigmund that you went back to return. Pretty sure it was a crossbow that drifted where it wasn't supposed to. You took it back and gave it back to the guy and came back. That's the most recent war you remember.
Yeah, I think there was a civil war. Something about a Sigmund, Emperor Sigmund. I don't know. There's a crossbow that needed to be back there, but I think that's the last thing I remember.
How many years ago again was that?
A couple thousand.
How long have you been here?
40 years, give or take.
The war before that, closest thing to a war, there was a border skirmish between the Drow and a colony of gnomes in like Silver Spring, something like Spring something.
Yeah, I think before that one there's something in Silver Spring, something Spring.
Spring
I don't know, there
socket?
was- Sure, sounds close enough. I think that's the only thing I remember before that.
Hey, Ding.
Yeah.
That was over 1,000 years ago on the material plane.
Oh. Hmm. What's the thing I remember from before I left? What?
Before you left?
What? Yeah, before I left. What is like the most concrete thing I can recall from there?
It was the year 850, and you needed a place to study for your advanced tea reading class because you thought tea reading was an absolute waste of everybody's time, and that's really the last thing you remember was you just needed a quiet place. Every single room was full, and you just went deeper and deeper and deeper into the mountain underneath the Divination College and found yourself here.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
I think when I left it was the year 850.
Wait, but that was... Can I have more of that drink?
Absolutely. The house is probably just going to bring, like, just a table will slide in with
empty
bottle
glass.
and the-
It fills from the bottom.
Yep.
Oh, may I please have a little lemonade to go with it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mix. Shoot that.
Astral Sea with lemonade. Sounds like an actual drink in a bar. And I love it.
Alright, shoot back.
Yeah. Sorry, Devin. Go.
Oh, Ding's gonna just kind of think on that for a while and be like, I mean, I knew time was weird out here, but that's...
So you both simultaneously...
Yeah, I gotta pop in wherever I'm needed, whenever I need to
Gonna
return.
run out the door.
Be right back.
Gonna run out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Open the door. Close the door. And I'm going to think blue.
You start to think of the blue corn tortilla. You start.
Not blue corn. No blue corn.
No blue. Oh.
Blue.
Okay, got you. Sorry, wrong blue. Okay.
You see my logic. You see where this logic
I do,
lies.
and I love it. I love it. Roll me an intelligence save to pull your thoughts together, and also a concentration check, my friend.
Okay. Intelligence save. Is it 16?
Okay.
Concentration. Five.
You start pulling the thoughts together, and you feel you're thinking blue, but you start to funnel that down from Yeva, the bolt from beyond, shrinking that down and thinking of the next temporal incursion, the next time time will be broken in order to deposit something in the material plane. And you feel the tug back the way you came. You feel that sensation back towards the material plane. And then you hear a thump thump. Thump thump. Thump thump. And it starts in your head and starts to fill the ship around you and starts to shake. And as you look up and looking back, following where your mental tether, your mental line has been cast out back, all of that, all of reality is a tiny little speck of light in the distance. You are floating in absolute blackness. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. Resonating through this space. A slow and steady pulsing. It sounds like a heartbeat. And as you look down, your tether still dead ahead.
Okay, I said it'd be a minute, so I'm gonna open the door, go back in.
When you open the door, ding, you hear thum thum, thum thum. Like you're outside a house, and when they open the door, you hear the subwoofer. You hear the bass just thumping and pounding you in your chest inside your house. Knocks over Bob's lemonade. He does not care.
God damn it! I'm trying to be nice for once to the stupid robot.
He doesn't have hands.
Gonna stump out there.
Gonna walk back in. I'm gonna walk back and be like, let's go have another drink, quick. By the way, the ship's been moving.
Excuse me?
It's dark outside.
Ding's gonna stump over, kick the door open, and again tip himself back out because we're still at that angle.
Okay, roll perception for me, buddy.
Okay.
Or would you like to make... do you want to force some light into this situation? Because when the door opens, it is... the only light is coming out of your doorway. And you can see the ship around you, but nothing beyond the edge of the railings.
Yes, I would try to create some light so I can figure out what's going on.
Okay. You'll look up to where that crow's nest needs to be. Snap your fingers, and the entire crow's nest just kind of starts to glow like a lighthouse beacon. And all around you again is that same blackness, but it almost recoils like it's alive, pushed back by this light. Give me an intelligence. We'll do contested roll. Add your intelligence and arcana if you want it.
Intelligence and Arcana?
So it would, sorry,
Or
just be
one
arcana.
or the other. Okay, yeah. Okay. Makes a lot more sense.
Yes, sorry.
Fool. That was a nat 1.
Oh, buddy.
Or is it a 12? No, I'm kidding.
No, I have to do that before I roll. I do have inspiration I could burn. I'm going to
Well,
burn that
Strongly
second.
suggested.
Yeah, I'm going to burn that second inspiration. Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a 29.
Perfect.
Woo!
22 on my end. So you feel this darkness press in against you, and you feel your mental bubble of putting this light up and casting light around you rub up against another intelligence. And it is a pure battle of wills for the briefest of moment, pushing back and forth, and finally you push the darkness away, just shove it, and it dissipates, and you see in front of you what almost looks like it looks like ships of some kind. But they're not sailing in anything. They are wrapped in chains, embedded in pieces of rock and rubble. And as you are sailing over them, getting closer to that thump thump, the source of that noise, looking down, both of you can see there are warforged in these vessels, rowing. Thum thum. Thum thum. You see others on wheels pushing these giant stone wheels, probably 50 feet across, 3 warforged on an arm of this spoke, pushing it forward, marching in the rhythm of this pounding sound. Thum thum. Thum thum.
Am I able to try and interrupt the sound? Like, add my own thud to throw off the cadence and kind of like disrupt the rhythm.
You are certainly able to try. I will tell you,
Okay.
it will be very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Then I think I might not.
You're welcome to. I was gonna say you are welcome to try, but you know that there is an intelligence out here that is counteracting you, and it is very good.
That's not great. Do I have a sense of where that intelligence is?
Roll me Arcana.
Okay. 16.
16. Perfect. It's somewhere ahead of you. When you pushed it free, you felt it stumbling, and it ran ahead of you.
Okay.
So my tether is pointing. Is it pulling yet, or is it just?
It's still more of a lead. Still tugging. It's still taut. It is not yanking you forwards, but it is pulling you towards whatever this thing is, and the prow of the boat is just straight forward, right along that line. And Ding, you can see that line extends out at about 50 feet off the edge of the boat. Your sense of it disappears, but as you are continuing forward, it keeps appearing but you sort of lost your
Okay.
sense about 50 feet out from the nose of the ship.
Don't like that. Well, I think we're getting close to whatever has your tether.
This is where they all are. This is where they went.
Dum, dum. Dum,
Looking
dum.
around, do I see more like just military types? Like, do I see?
You are
Solid.
recognizing a lot of these models. They are all also in various states of disrepair.
Do I see any star spawn?
An excellent question. Roll perception for me, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Perception.
25.
25. You do, in fact, see several of various... You see a couple of the six-armed individuals you were looking at earlier. Off to the sides, you are seeing what looks like a group of Devastators and other larger models standing around and just stomping their feet in time with this cadence. And in front of them is probably 15 feet high this massive hulking figure. The skin is, again, this very pink translucent skin. You can see the bones inside. You can see the organs and viscera. There is no hair. There is just teeth, and it is standing in front of these Devastators, taller than they are, with what looks like no weapons. Just fists curling and flexing in arcs of purple lightning across the knuckles as it's almost supervising, almost guarding this group. And you see probably 6 or 7 similar sized individuals there. But most interestingly, there are 3 figures scattered through this working field. Scattered at 3 points ahead of where you're going, that are just standing there with their arms up and their heads bowed, hoods pulled over their heads. And you feel the sense, you recognize all of these shapes are channeling power, channeling energy forward towards these 3 individuals that are standing there holding their hands up, channeling this power to somewhere. But you cannot see, quite yet, you cannot see what is beyond these 3 figures.
Is there anything about the figures I might recognize?
They're
Kind of looking, thinking, knowing her, she's probably thinking like Atronics and Atronics and Yati and everyone mentioned these, like a group of powerful wizards caused the abridgment. Is there any like coalition markings? She's probably looking for that specifically. That's probably where
coalition markings on the Warforged. These
not on the Warforged.
These individuals you don't recognize. Actually, roll history for me.
Sounds good. 17.
17, that's fine. The whole thing throws a very specific vibe. How familiar is Thalia with a couple of cults?
Pretty familiar with certain ones, yes.
Certain ones.
Yeah, she knows a couple.
This one in particular. Would you roll 17?
Yeah.
17. You're not entirely... This definitely gives the culty vibes. There is definitely something about the way they're holding themselves. And there's a odd silver and black raiment they have, where the arms and the hood of their cloaks are silver, and there's a band of jagged white around their midriff that falls away to gray and then to black. You don't recognize the particular color scheme or anything like that, but you again generally get the vibe that this is not, whatever they're doing isn't great. You also know that organizations like this, whatever they're doing, they're channeling a lot of energy in this direction, which again is not a good thing, especially this far out from reality.
Hey, Ding.
Yeah.
This is probably bad, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's not like opposite thing, like sort of rule in the Astral Sea that if it looks scary, it's really just, you know?
No, it's
Okay.
it. If it looks scary, it's probably worse.
Oh,
If
okay.
I'm being honest.
Scary is subjective.
Scary is objective.
No,
Everything
scary
is
is pretty
scary.
objective sometimes.
Scary is objective.
That's valid.
The only objective thing in the Astral Sea is scary.
Yes. The Astral Sea is subjective, except for scary. Shit. I think I have to do something about this.
Should we figure out what's ahead first? Like get more of a complete picture, and then we go back and screw with them, or
I worry that if we figure out what's ahead, that just means they're behind us, closing in.
fair.
Whereas if we deal with them, maybe we cut off what's ahead's power line? Supply?
All right, I got an idea. Hold on.
Is there a Warforged within messaging range?
Message is 1,000 feet.
Message is 120.
120, yeah.
120 feet. You could bring the ship down, because right now you are probably 500 feet above everything. Not a lot of folks have noticed you, even though you are literally a bright beacon in the sky.
Do you think it'd be safe to lower the ship to like I can get within messaging range of a Warforged? I might have an override.
Yeah, that's probably our best bet if you can get one of them, so let's try it.
All right. I'd like to point out something that I know structurally. Like, I know Robbie's designation was Ranger? Okay, I'm looking, like, I'm being around Robbie, I know kind of the command structure, so I know, like, which Warforged were meant for, like, scouting, which Warforged, like, I'm looking for someone who
Okay.
has enough authority to influence others,
Okay.
but will
You're looking for an
still
officer.
possibly answer to my command code.
Okay. So you're looking for an NCO. You are looking for a real grumpy non-commissioned officer. Excellent. As you begin to approach and you start looking, can I get? Are you? So here's a question for you, Ding. Are you going to keep the lights on?
I have dark vision.
Yeah. And I'm going to activate my third eye now that I've had my short rest for dark vision and kill the lights.
And again, that same oppressive just kind of engulfs you. And as it wraps around all of you, there's this sense of unity. It kind of taps a nice, like, gentle, not the same whoomph whoomph, but in that cadence. Tapping on the outside. Can I get a wisdom save from each of you, please?
I'm just gonna say that's a 12, so 19.
Oh, all the portents are gone?
I'm gonna use the last portent because I don't trust my roll.
Okay. What'd you get, Rachel?
No,
Oh,
not
darn.
that. I'm just debating whether it's worth burning another bardic inspiration on it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna burn another bardic inspiration. Fat lot of help that did. 13.
13. Well, Ding, what'd you get?
19.
19. So Ding, you feel this probing sense as the darkness kind of combines. It wants to connect. It wants this is not an aggressive attempt to gain control. This is a low-lying miasma of connection.
Okay.
Ding, you are just like, no, go away. Don't want that. Get out of here. Thalia. There's a moment before you can pull your mental defenses together because of that musician instinct to follow the beat. It betrays you for a half a second. And you hear in that thud, he comes, he comes, he comes. Bring forth he who darkens the night, the eater of stars. The empty night, he comes, he comes. And in that connection, you're hearing that mantra in every single Warforged in there. This thudding sound is powering a ritual, is releasing something. And there's a split second thinking about the Warforged and thinking about the Cherry Fairy. Enough belief in an entity makes it real and gives it power. And whatever group is here has found an entire army of willing participants.
Can I latch onto that connection I have with the Warforged?
With the one below you, or just in that sort of soup that you're in? I said it. Fuck.
With that hive mind.
Pulsing.
That...
Okay. Yes. You can attempt to grab onto that connection.
I want to keep part of it there. I want to keep he comes. The speaker. He comes. He calls, he beckons, the one who will lead out of the darkness and to order. He comes, the speaker, he comes.
Okay. All right, we're going to make this excellent. I need contested. We'll make it contested spellcasting. We'll do your charisma against the cultist, the person leading this chant, against his spellcasting modifier, to see if you can get the message out. But first, I need another wisdom save to keep yourself in that tether, because the message started to come through, and you caught it. This is you opening yourself back up to it again.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. That'll do it. That will hold you in place. And now contested spell checks.
Son of a gun. That's really low. I shouldn't have changed dice. I changed dice last minute. I shouldn't have changed dice.
Which did you change dice to the... Okay. What'd you get?
7.
Natural 1. So, Thalia, how would you like to do this?
Okay, so she the beat just kind of like that impressive, and she grabs Ding, and he can feel her like tapping that beat, that, and then she adds like an extra beat to it after a second, and she starts counter speak, like she probably started speaking a little bit of the original message, and then she starts speaking the altered one again, with everything that Ding has taught her, that thoughts have power in this plane. She starts willing those thoughts into the astral, into the plane, and she purposely pulls on a couple, like the closest threads she can feel. She kind of grabs onto them at first. Hopefully it gets a little more, like a couple of voices, even if it's just the speaker.
Tum tum, tikata, tum tum, tikata, tum tum, and the cadence starts to shift and shimmy a little, and you watch as these hulking figures start to look around, and drifting forward, all of a sudden there's some kind of light up ahead, and you see the figure who has been leading this chant standing at the front of all this channeled energy, with his hands pressed deep into what looks like a giant heart, half translucent, presumably from the freshly killed Star Dragon or Dreadnought. You're not sure, but all that power, thum thum, feeding into this heart, and all of a sudden those strong contractions start to stutter. Tugadum, 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 tugadum. And Thalia, you start to see the threads of your working. Your first one you grab onto just a regular grunt, and he stops pushing and stands up, about to say something, and the next wheel of the spoke just flattens him. You grab onto another one who stands up from rowing, who puts down his oar, stands and walks to the center of the aisle, and the row master at the top of the row just points a finger and disintegrates him. But your threads start seeping out into the world and grabbing onto these individuals, and they all start to add to the cadence. The speaker, he comes, the speaker, he brings order. And you watch as that oppressive sound of that heartbeat dissipates and is replaced with the sound of violence. As you have single-handedly disrupted whatever spell, whatever energies they were casting in this place. And I think that's where we will leave off for this evening, unless you guys want to go later. It is 10 o'clock. I'll leave that up to you guys.
I mean, I could probably go a little later.
I can go a little later for this.
Yeah, because it's fun.
Oh, this is so much fun. I haven't. So the fighting breaks out, and you are able to see in the darkness with your dark vision. You are seeing lights flaring up from eye sockets, from chest plates. You are seeing these machines that are built for war. Remember that they were fighters, and they remember what they were built to do. And it is to fight off the darkness. And you hear one of them, Thalia, unprompted, from a little further out from your range, one that did not receive your direct command. You hear, "So that tomorrow may exist." And that cheer starts to get picked up. And you hear another one go, so that we may exist tomorrow. And that gets a little more traction. We fight so we may exist. We fight so we may exist. And that itself overruns the cadence. And you watch as that group of devastators who was just plodding back and forth pile on top of this hulking figure, and you just see limbs start to spray. Pushing forward, you see the three cultists that were sort of channeling that power into their master. They have all moved up to that central dais. And Thalia, for the first time, you feel a tug on your tethers. And it is pulling down towards that heart and towards the cultists that are standing atop the dais. It is not a tug of possession. It's not a tug of ownership. And Ding, you notice that all these threads just kind of doot doot.
Mm-hmm.
And you both hear a little voice in your head. The Ding you do not recognize, but Thalia you do. It's the youngest of the fates. Don't tell my sister I gave you this guidance. But do what your friends do best.
She's just gonna turn to look at Ting.
Why do I get the feeling your friends deal with problems like this?
They usually do. I'm more on the healing side. Gonna be on healing and transport lately. Witnessing.
Well, and Ding's gonna kind of motion at the chaos and be like, you dealt pretty well. Guess it's my turn to try now. How far are we from, like, the central dais and the head asshole that's screwing things up in my sea? Yes.
You're about... I'd say you're about 150 feet. What's the range on that? What's the range on this thing that he's got?
Gee, it's almost like you know. Yes?
I'd say 100 and... We'll say 150 feet at the moment.
Great.
But you're moving at about 30 feet per round, hypothetically.
Great. On the ship, and that's like, we don't have to do anything for that. The ship is just moving us.
You're just cruising, and actually the nose of the ship is starting to point down.
Great. Ding, is the cult leader, like, aware of us? Has he noticed?
With the riot, with all of the fighting and everything happening tomorrow, fuck, it's still today. Time is subjective, it's fine. With all of this combat, you're seeing different kinds of star spawn, some of which look vaguely humanoid, some which look absolutely not humanoid. Finding pockets of these warforged and just destroying them utterly. You're seeing a whole lot of tentacles and nothing you want to truck with. But the main cultist and the other three that were with him are still up by the dais, up near the heart.
Okay.
And yeah, they're about 150 feet away from you guys.
Okay. So are they kind of distracted by the chaos?
They are looking... Well, that guy's not doing great. There we go. Finally,
it's like, yeah, this tomorrow stuff sounds real great.
Tomorrow, yeah, we'll do tomorrow. What's tomorrow? I have no concept of time out. My god will come out tomorrow and eat all of the stars in the sky. The three on the ground look like they're issuing commands. They're issuing instructions to groups and trying to gather their forces together at the top of this dais. But the individual leading this chant leading, like with his hands inside this heart, has pulled his hands free, dripping with this transparent, but it's like an oil slick. It's that same rainbow hue, just dripping down his arms like he's just gutted a rainbow. And he's standing there with his hands up, and he looks up directly at you, and you both hear in your heads, "No, this is not the time for you."
I am going to use meta magic and subtle spell Feeble Mind. So silently and without any motion, I'm going to hit this guy with Feeble Mind.
What's the save?
DC 18 int.
Should have saved that one.
No.
I should have, but I'm hoping with the subtle spell it'll catch him off guard.
Yeah.
This is a significant roll. Let me see. Resistance, immunities. What can you read me? Read me Feeble Mind. Is it a charm?
Let's see. It is just has it tagged as a debuff. You blast the mind of a creature that you can see within range, attempting to shatter its intellect and personality. Target takes 4d6 psychic damage and must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the creature's intelligence and charisma scores become 1. The creature can't cast spells, activate magic items, yada yada yada. And at the end of every 30 days, they can repeat their saving throw.
I definitely didn't hit Thalia with one of these at the beginning of the season.
That was a fun time. That was genuinely fun.
Yes. And like I said, subtle spell, so there is no indication for him. It's just...
Fuck.
It is just suddenly he's getting blasted with this.
So he's immune to psychic damage. So the 4d6 won't do anything.
Won't do anything.
But I will, however... Yeah, disadvantage. That makes perfect sense in this case with the subtle spell. What's the DC?
18.
He rolled a 2. So, Ding, how would you like to do this?
So the last thing he said was the time is not now, or something like that, right?
Your time is not now.
Your time is not now. So Ding is going to do this subtle spell and then just grin and say, no, I think it is. And this guy's mind is just going to be crushed under this spell, essentially.
Just racing back down that connection. You're like, no. And almost taking that oppressive power, you're not overpowering him. You just see the weakness. You see the opening, and you're just like, oh, grab this tendril of thought, plug him in, and Thalia, you watch and feel Ding, very just cool as a cucumber, just no, tie that thread off, and that thought, not your time, starts to loop.
Not your time.
And you watch as the figure has his hands up, dripping this goo, and it looks, and just kind of, and the other cultists start to turn and look, and one of them grabs and they start shouting in this language that's mostly like gargling mayonnaise.
Gross.
And you're trying to pick him up and carry him away, but he keeps tasting his fingers, and he turns to the heart and just dives in with both hands. And as you're getting closer, the ship is still careening down towards them, starting to pick up speed, following this tether. He's pulling gobbets of meat out of this heart and shoving them into his mouth, and also into a mouth in his chest, opening vertically along the sternum, just shoving gobbets in there. And as the ship just starts going, I need all of you to make dexterity saves, please.
Okay.
That's PDs. 23.
23. Beautiful.
9.
Less beautiful. I'm gonna need more D6s for this.
Dexterous ding is not.
Can I split the damage with my good save and say that I split some of Ding's damage trying to help him?
Because what'd you roll? 19?
23.
23? I'll let you take half a Ding's damage onto you. So you'll end up... Yeah, you'll end up taking... You'll split the damage pretty evenly, unless Ding's got something he's about to tell me.
Yes, question. So the ship is careening in. Would we be able to step off and featherfall?
You 100% could.
Great. That's what we're doing.
I've been holding on to you ever since I started hive minding, so
Great. Ding is gonna kind of so I assume you're holding kind of like his sleeve.
Yeah.
So he's gonna reach back and grab your forearm and just kind of hop and cast Featherfall.
When you jump, the ship careens past you. As it's just picking up speed and picking up speed and picking up speed. And just blown to flinders across this dais. Bits and pieces of the ship are just scattered all over the place, and you start to drift down. Gently.
At 60 feet per round.
Nice, soft, gentle landing. And you land from where you're falling. By the time you guys get up there, can I get a d20 roll from each of you? We're going to play rollies to see how the fight is going with the Warforged.
18.
Okay.
14.
Okay. It is a relatively even fight, as some of the larger Starspawn are organizing into pockets and fighting more aggressively. But the Warforged are just too many. There are just too many units that are activating and working together like fighters that have been programmed to work together. It is like watching ants dismantle. It's like watching flesh-eating beetles dismantle a larger animal. It is methodical. It is piece by piece by piece, taking down pockets of resistance. You see a couple of units, you see probably 4 or 5 of them have hung back, and you're seeing scouts and runners moving back and forth as they're relaying commands. You see one that looks like he has almost like an antenna coming out of his back, like an old school radio operator, and he's providing information and providing instruction. And you see this squadron of 4 or 5 of them in the back that you could fall towards if you wanted to, or you can go to the front lines and help.
So we still have what's going on this day?
Everything on
like
the
I know
dais,
the leader is. Yeah.
All of them were like clustered around the heart trying to pull the leader away, and the ship just landed on all 4 of them.
So there is no motion. There's no nothing from them.
Blown to flinders. The last thing as you're floating down, the heart just kind of goes boom.
What's my tether doing now?
Because
it was leading towards the heart, right?
Yes. As the last beat of that heart just kind of goes away, you feel little pinpricks of pain, but also you feel more centered. and 4 of the 5 tethers disperse.
I'm gonna panic seeing that. Ding, 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 ding.
Yep, this is good. There's still 1, and that's normal.
The other 4 tethers, Ding, go to different parts of the battlefield.
Interesting.
And in a split second, you both see a flash of possibility. Thalia in the front lines, in the thick of it, blasting her bagpipes. And then suddenly there is a smoking crater where she was standing. Ding standing over Thalia's body, wrapped in that form of the astral sea, as she is just on the ground, recovering from what looks like a nosebleed or a head wound, squaring off against one of these hulking star spawn. Another group of Thalia off to the side in almost like a medic area. Just these quick flashes of what could have happened. And now there is one thread, one tether for you, Thalia. Fuck. One tether. Your one lifeline. All those possibilities have existed and disappeared. And now there is just you and your actions.
Okay, can we agree frontline's bad idea?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Okay, glad we're in agreement on that. That looked bad. Those are possibilities, right? Not my future?
Yes, those were possibilities.
Not a reflection, not like, okay.
No, I think those were the other places we could have ended up if we hadn't done what we did. So hopefully we won't turn into a crater.
I like that.
Because I would prefer not to.
Me too.
How close are we again to like the front lines and everything?
The lines are pushing steadily forward. It looks like without any of the cultists, any organizational principle, these Starspawn are fighting in little pockets, but they are not fighting together like the Warforged are. You're seeing small groups of Warforged linking up, forming better battle units, working together with other units to essentially work around behind them and just hammer and anvil some of these. These smaller pockets are being put down, and a lot of the other Starspawn are retreating. They're routing.
Okay. So it's already kind of turning, so don't know that we need to get involved here. I know the voice said to do what your friends do, and I'm really hoping your friends might call this good enough.
Depends on the friend.
I'm gonna say we're following that friend.
Which one?
The one that's not going to. The one that's gonna go home now. Unless you feel we need to deal with this, but I think the Warforged have this.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I feel mildly responsible. I kicked off a rebellion. I mean, freedom. I just want to check in with them, make sure they know who the speaker is, and like.
Yeah, okay. What's the closest Starspawn to us?
There's a couple alive or dead.
Alive. Still fighting. What is the closest Starspawn I could deal with?
There looks like
I was about to say, or like, can you describe where the pockets we could land are? I guess I'm trying to figure out where we could go.
You guys are kind of drifting down. If you guys are the center of the clock, the main pocket of resistance is up at 12 o'clock, sort of near the remnants of the crash of the Kraken Mare. There's 2 or 3 smaller ones at basically 9 and 2 or 10 and 2. But even now, the Warforged have linked up enough that it's basically there's a cluster of what looks like a dozen small. They almost look like children, but they have these spikes erupting from their skin, and they're just kind of gibbering and shrieking as they're climbing on top of the other Warforged. There's 2 of the hulking, big translucent purple guys that are just back to back. One of them, they have taken the arms off of a Devastator and are just bashing away at all of the other Starspawn around them, or at the Warforged that are pushing. And then up towards the dais, you are just seeing more of the Manglers, the ones with the 6 arms, just kind of pushing their way back and just in this fighting retreat. Their backs are against the wall and they have nowhere else to go. So they are fighting to the end.
Okay. And what was the distance on those? Like
from the point of impact, 60 feet.
Okay.
Medium range.
Cool. So they're 60 feet from where all the debris is, essentially.
They're about 30 feet from the debris.
Oh, great. Okay. I guess I'm gonna catapult some of that debris at one of the biggest ones.
Okay.
At 6th level. Because I'm done with this.
I would like to go home now, please.
Yeah, basically, Thalia's like, I feel kind of responsible, and Ding's like, ugh, and points at something, and just flicks.
What's the weight limit on catapult?
1 to 5 pounds. So just like a chunk of wood.
Tip of a piece of the prow that didn't completely crumple on impact.
Okay.
Goes whipping by.
And it can go 90 feet. And if the object would strike a creature, it must make a dex saving throw.
Yeah. No, he doesn't.
8d8 force damage.
Beautiful.
Would you like me to roll that?
Yes, please, because for the sake of the narrative, you're like, all right, fine, and you grab this piece of prow, and you pull a larger piece than you're expecting, partly because of just you're familiar with this place, and you're like, yeah, whatever, and you just whip it at them, and you will catch both of the hulks, both of the translucent purple guys, just clean through the chest and pin them to each other.
Okay, and that is 44 force damage.
Okay, so yeah, you pin them to each other, and they're both trying to wrench each other free, and the Warforged start grabbing onto the limbs, and again, literally climbing on top of these things to try and kill them.
Okay.
Thalia, is there anything you'd like to do?
Okay, so have we landed?
We could say this is on the way down if you want to do something in the air, or we can save this for after you've landed. We're in loose combat time right now.
Okay. I mean, I guess I will look for a pocket that is struggling within 30 feet if I can, or within 60 feet, excuse me. Within 60 feet and try shatter.
Yeah, there's I think the best group for that would be the ones still up by the dais, because the ones that look the smaller childlike ones are very inundated with the Warforged, and a shatter there would basically just pop it would do more damage to the Warforged than to them. However, there's a group of the Manglers and a couple of you think you see one of the cultists kind of pulling himself out of the rubble a little bit. So yeah, if you want to drop a big old shatter.
I'm not Ronan, okay?
Yeah, you know your target before you drop a 9th level shatter. Love you, buddy. As the DM, go all out. This is the place to drop your big hitters.
Okay. I'm gonna cast a 5th level shatter.
Okay. What's the save DC?
Con 17.
That's a 3 and a 5 on the dice, and they don't have that high of constitution. Go for it. Also, I need to roll for the dais. Ooh, yeah, buddy. You're borked.
16 damage.
Okay.
And it's thunder damage.
So you drop that and sort of blasting away at all of this. Is it your bagpipes? What are you using to? What instrument do you get to use, O Bard of Bards?
What do I want to use? So many to choose from. She probably will use her bagpipes.
Okay.
She is probably gonna use her bagpipes for this.
Blam! Is just blast of sound hits in the middle of this group, kind of throwing them a little out of position. Does Shatter move people? Or is it just loud?
Just loud. Technically, a creature made of inorganic material has disadvantage.
Okay. Perfect. Yo, you rolled 5d8 and got a 16?
Rolled 4d8.
You cast it at 5th level?
Yeah.
So you get 3 for your first, 3 at 2nd level, 4 5th.
Wait.
Oh,
3 at
68.
second level.
So I need to roll 2 more.
Yeah. No, you're doing rude things.
Oh, I still didn't roll that great. So add 4. So 20.
Okay.
Perfectly average.
Crack! The cultist who is like starting to come up to his senses, his head just bursts. Just like you just see the hood fly back and like a couple of tentacles just like flailing up into the sky, and he just drops. The other manglers sort of clutching their ears a little bit and start to scurry away. But importantly, the dais the heart was on fractures. And there is a sense of pressure releasing. This almost psychic, that miasma starts to completely fade away. And the shouts of the Warforged are now physical instead of mental. They are purely shouts of instructions, cries for help, cheers of victory, the occasional beleaguered abomination shout, like screaming a death rattle. But it is all physical and not mental. And you feel this... There's almost a shock, a metaphysical shockwave that emanates out from this dais as it cracks in two from your shatter. And your tether is no longer taut. It is now just attached to you. Just hanging, catching an invisible breeze here and there. Whatever was pulling you this way is no longer pulling you this way.
Well, looks like we got you freed.
Yeah. I think. I don't know how this works.
That's usually what tethers look like, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
it's just
cool.
a single like wispy looking thread.
That's usually what tethers look like, so
Oh,
why don't we finish up here and we'll see if we can get you home.
okay.
Around this point, you hear chunk, 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 chunk. Commander. You turn around and there is one of the NCO Warforged standing behind you. Any instructions, Commander?
Status report?
My apologies. Third tier sergeant. Designation tier. At your service.
Pleasure to meet you.
As you can see, pockets of resistance still remain, but we should have things quieted down very shortly. Commander, may I ask a question?
Of course.
Commander, may I speak freely?
Of course.
Where are we?
The astral plane. And you're about 100 years from where you left off.
I
come
believe
from-
we were decommissioned.
Probably accurate based on my findings. I don't know how time exactly works here.
And I look at Ding.
But
It's subjective.
my present time is the year 987.
Interesting. According to... It appears we have been here for some time. Thank you for the rescue mission.
Of course.
Is there still a war to be fought, ma'am?
No. The surface world doesn't remember any of it. Doesn't remember the war, the coalition. Doesn't remember the Warforged, really. The speaker, Robbie, R66Y. He's the first hint we've had at your presence. He's been looking for you. But I'm not sure that it's safe right now for your return to a material plane.
One moment, Commander, if I may.
Of course.
He steps back to the other small group of them, and they begin having a discussion.
Just looking at Ding like,
Dig's gonna look back and be like, I don't know. Is there, I mean, while they're doing this, I'm still kind of aware that we need to finish up, like, with the rest of what's going on. Is there any other, like, somewhat big target within 120 feet? Or just smatterings of targets within 120 feet?
It's just small individual targets kind of scattered around. A couple of the manglers are still up by the dais, and they are they're standing on sort of that cracked stone trying to push things off, and they have a bit of elevation, so they're able to kind of keep the Warforged back.
Gotcha.
You do see a couple of Warforged in with smaller, like more delicate, dexterous hands.
Mm-hmm.
That look like they are getting elevation, getting line of sight to do some kind of magic. But
Gotcha.
if you want to jump the gun on them,
Yeah, how many of those manglers are up there?
let me find out for you. 3, buddy.
Great. I'm gonna cast a 5th level magic missile.
Yeah.
Which is 7 darts, so they all get 2, and then one unlucky one gets a 3rd one.
Okay. And those are just all automatically hit. Yeah. Tell me how you dispatch these 3 guys.
So Ding's kind of like, Thalia looks at him like, she's like, uh-oh, and then kind of looks around and sees him, and he goes, no. And you see, in the nothingness around him, there's like these swirls, and then 7 spots condense into what look like stars that just fire off and smack these things.
What, like when the two that get 2 just get like 1 in each eye, and then the third one gets like 1 in each eye and just uppercut right through its long diamond chin and just out the back of the head as it drops. You see the Warforged on the side kind of throw a salute to you as they climb down off of their compatriots.
Ding gives a thumbs up.
Tyr comes back with a more injured looking Warforged that's missing a hand. Commander, this is designation Fenris. He was our commanding officer before his injury. You say it's not safe for us.
The material plane, there's been heavy magic. No one remembers the war. And currently we believe there are time incursions from the future trying to undo that magic, which would threaten present time and existence. At the time, I don't know if your return would aid or aid our current enemy.
It is good to have an enemy. Fenris chimes in. It tells you which way to fight. Is it safe here for us?
Maybe a little bit closer to the light. This seems pretty dark. This is my first time traveling to the astral plane. I think it's a bit safer over in the light, right?
Yeah. The closer you are to something real, it's usually a little safer, as long as those real things aren't too close. That gets a little choppy, but
So might be safe here, and of course, can you? I'm curious because this is again first time in between planes. Can you feel the speaker? I know he has a connection sometimes with other Warforged and through the Primus, and he was working on it at least.
I do not know this speaker, Commander. But if you fight in his name, I would quite like to meet him someday.
May I show you?
Yes, of course.
And I'm gonna place my hand on his chest, on their chest, and just think of Robbie, where we first met him, where his first interaction we saw with the Primus, his search, fighting to prove that he's battle worthy. I don't know if that's what speaks to these gentlemen, but and then him now as king with all the wires just connecting and searching, and like the plans that I know he's talked about while everyone else was away in the 3-month time gap. Like, I give them the just like flash, so they see who he is and why he's the authority of speaker that has been given to him by other Modrons.
It's a very important role. Can I get a persuasion check with advantage?
Okay. My highest modifier. 28.
Natural 20 for a total of 24. Fenrir is a hard sell. He has been fed some lines of BS before. But your earnestness and showing the struggle that Robbie has put in to find his people rings truer than any manifesto you could read off about what he wants, and showing that he has built a home for those like him. When you pull your hand away, Fenrir makes the motion of breathing, which you've never seen a Warforged do, like an exasperated sigh. Really. Well, Commander, you speak quite truly and plainly. We will stay where it is safe until it is time. We seem to have made ourselves a nice little piece of home here. It's a little dark, but we'll manage something. But if you have another place where you may be able to stay that's a little closer when the time comes, my men and I would appreciate it.
I look at Ding.
If you'd like, you can probably stay on the carcass I was living on. It's pretty big.
That would be most grateful of you. What is your name and rank, sir, so I may address you correctly?
Oh, I'm Ding, Tovis, old guy.
He takes a second and is kind of parsing it, and Tyr just leans over and goes, his name is Ding. Just call him Ding. Yes. Thank you, Ding, for your hospitality. And thank you for your assistance in this rescue as well.
Yeah, well, kid was kind of showing me up. I had to do something to help out.
I can see why she was made commander.
Not much of a people person.
As I believe we were told, at least as I was decommissioned, we are not people, so we should get along just fine. That is, I believe, Gallows humor.
Ding kind of nods and is like, yeah, I guess Bob could probably use some friends.
Bob's gonna be so excited.
Suppose I should give Bob his body back now.
Do you have your own one of us?
Kinda? I have a lot of you. But not like you. Parts? Parts. I have a lot of parts.
Fenrir perks up. Ding, if it is all right with you, perhaps I can have some of my men begin reassembling and putting my brothers to rest who cannot be returned to us.
Yeah, sure. Get them out of my vault.
Think of all the extra storage space for books.
It's gonna be great. Ding's gonna look around and see if, by some random chance, the door survived that collision.
Roll
I was
deeper.
just thinking about it, it's
Somebody
just, like,
roll D
floating.
percentiles for me, please.
You roll
Right.
one, I'll roll the other.
Sure.
Who wants tens? Who wants hundreds?
I got tens.
I got hundreds.
Tens of ones, yeah.
60.
80. Or 68.
We'll
then?
do
86, 68.
86. We'll do 86.
Okay.
The looking around, you hear the and underneath one of the busted devastators, you just see a couple of toughs like just flapping against the door trying to like, you see that like the rugs try to get out.
Dig's gonna go try to uncover the door.
It is underneath the devastator. You will probably need help.
Right.
I will go and help.
Sure.
Pitifully.
The two of you go over and starting to lift, and you notice the fighting has kind of died down, and other Warforged come by, and another Devastator comes over and just like scoops underneath the shoulders and the knees and lifts up the other Devastator, and very gently walks away with them and lays them out, and you see that the Warforged are starting to lay out their injured and their casualties.
Thank you.
Right then. This way, and Ding's gonna flip the door open, which I imagine is laying like flat on the ground essentially. Yeah. So Carpet will pop out,
just bursts free,
and Ding is just gonna rest his foot, like the arch of his foot, on that like 90-degree angle, and just tip straight into the doorway.
Thalia will also do that. She's starting to get used to this place.
Ding is going to try to quickly scuttle to the library and grab Bob's head and put it back on his body before the Warforged make their way in here.
Do you want to help Thalia, or do you? Or are you going to be distracted? Okay.
No.
Roll me sleight of hand, Devin, with advantage.
With advantage, that matters. Ooh, no, it doesn't. The first one was a nat 20.
Perfect. So yeah, conveniently, you guys just got some practice putting this thing on. And you just kind of put the head on, and the armor plates settle in as Fenrir and Tyr and the other three commanders are stepping through, and they got a 5, so they kind of tumble in and get used to the changing gravity. And Bob, standing there with the guitar and the poncho, turns his head. She goes, "Good morning. Would you like some lemonade?"
You know what, Bob? That would be great. And then Ding's gonna open up the door next to him and kind of gesture at it for the Warforged and be like, should be plenty that you guys can use in there.
Okay. Thalia's Ding is moving, starting to give instructions. You feel tension in the small of your back. Just a gentle leading pull, like someone's dancing with you. Pulls a little more.
Ding. Ding, is it normal to feel pulled?
Not terribly. That probably means somebody's trying to get you back. So let's see if we can't help them. And Ding is going to try to kind of get Thalia back. Making sure that what's on the other end is not malicious, but this sounds like it's the body trying to
It
retrieve the soul.
It does sound like that, and there's this gentle gentle tug, and Thalia, there's a split second as you're standing kind of in the doorway in the foyer. Carpet has buzzed back into the room and is settling around and serving as a flying gurney. And you feel this tug, this gentle tug. And you feel that just continuing to pull, and it starts to pull you bodily out the door. Towards the foyer, towards that entranceway that you came through.
When I get close to Ding, I'm just gonna. Sorry, thank you. Give him a big hug.
Ding just like stands there like, I don't.
Sorry, but thank you. Because I
Sure
guess
thing.
this is goodbye. For now.
For now. I might come visit. We'll see.
I'd like the hut.
And then Ding's gonna kind of put a hand on her shoulder and just be like, take care of yourself. Give a push and try to help that tug.
As Ding just gives you that push, you step back through the doorway, and in that same pivot of gravity, there is... You kind of fall back upwards, like you're falling out of a door. But instead of continuing up into vertical, that tug changes 90 degrees and lurches you sideways. Very similarly to how you got into this mess. But this time you are more aware of your surroundings. You know what you're looking for. And you watch as you pull away from the dais. You pull away from this work camp, this enslaved group of warforged that have found their freedom. And as you're pulling away into the dark, there's just enough light from your eyes and from the world around you to look up and see that this dais was a lock. And you can see with distance and perspective and the fading light chains wrapping around something that you know should stay where it belongs. And then you are sucked through an almost indescribably small space. And there's a flash of light. And that's where we will wrap. So yeah, told you I'd make it a one shot. Told you I could do it. Thank you for
Just
giving me
needed a
the
little bit extra time.
Thank you for giving me the extra playtime. Listen, I was not expecting you guys to take apart Tiny Tim and try to get him to work.
Look, you gave us a very sad-looking thing that kept knocking.
What a poor guy. What a poor little bastard. But yeah. Yeah, thank you. I know we ran real late tonight, but thank you both so much for playing with me. Devin, thank you very much for coming on and being
Yeah, of course.
an absolute. I for those of you who don't know, I've been playing games with Devin since we met in college, and it continues to be one of the things where you just keep throwing me fucking curveballs, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, thank you both for playing.
Yeah.
Thanks for yeah. I don't have anything for this.
Cyberpunk tomorrow.
Yes, announcements.
Yes.
Thank you. Tomorrow will be another episode of our Cyberpunk Red Campaign Stories in New Hope, run by the fabulous Sensationally.me, who I believe is somewhere in the chat over here. They run a phenomenal Cyberpunk game. They just had their own little one-shot run by Hello Operator, where I was lucky enough to play, and we played Pac-Man, Duck Hunt, and Street Fighter in the cyber world. So like imagine Duck Hunt, except they all have javelin rocket launchers instead of laser pistols. And Pac-Man is just big and scary, and you're the ghost. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm very excited to see what they get up to next. And then I'm not 100% sure on what's up with Idiot's Guide, so keep an eye on the social medias for that. But we will be back next week. Hopefully plus a Chris. That's the intent. That's kind of why we got to do this one shot. So, and as always, we are sponsored by Sheckler Woodworking, shecklerwoodworking.com. Check out any of the cool things he makes out of wood, dice trays, bread boxes. He recently made a conductor's baton box that is wild. Like, it's just a very cozy, magnetized box. It looks fucking rad. He can make almost anything you want out of wood, so I strongly recommend it. And then you can also go pick up some stickers. Those funds go directly to us. That is the easiest way to support the show and support the channel and all the stuff that we do over here. Again, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Devin. This was a lot of fun, and thanks for making my Wednesdays one of my best days of the week. So, all right, I've rambled enough. So we'll see you all next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.